Nepal braces for severe weather. Flights disrupted nationwide. Authorities urge high vigilance in Tarai districts. Nepal's opposition parties urge president to block government ordinances. Leaders accuse government of bypassing parliament. Private schools accused of charging excessive fees despite government rules. Parents allege schools taking fees under various pretexts. China to fund Nepal's ring road expansion with $81 million grant. Agreement signed for second phase of Kathmandu highway upgrade. Israel says it killed Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon as cross-border tensions escalate. 4 reported dead in Gaza City in Israeli airstrike. And Nepal suffers 102-run defeat to Oman in ICC Cricket World Cup League 2. Rain-interrupted chase ends under DLS method. Good evening, I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World Primetime News. We're coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Elsewhere it's 13:15 in London, 20:15 in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal is experiencing widespread disruption due to adverse weather conditions. Domestic and international flight operations affected across the country, including Tribhuvan International Airport in Kathmandu. Airport authorities report flights to and from key domestic destinations such as Pokhara, Biratnagar, Bhairahava and Simra are facing delays. Some incoming international flights have also been temporarily held due to poor visibility and unstable weather conditions. The disruption comes as meteorological authorities have issued warnings of strong winds, thunderstorms, lightning and hailstorms across several provinces. The severe weather system is expected to move gradually from western to eastern regions, with impacts beginning this afternoon and continuing into the early morning hours. Officials caution that the conditions could cause falling trees, damage to weak infrastructures, roof damage and interruptions to electricity and communication services. Residents in affected areas are advised to remain indoors during severe weather, secure their homes and avoid unnecessary travel. At least 34 people lost their lives and 139 were injured in the incidents of different types of natural disasters across the country in the last 15 days. According to National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority, 616 different types of natural disaster incidents were occurred in the country from April 14 till today. Of them, 34 people died and 139 sustained injuries in such incidents. A total of 829 families were affected during the period. 250 houses suffered partial damages and 65 were completely damaged due to disaster. 78 cow sheds were also damaged while 213 cattle died due to disaster incidents. Likewise, 74 incidents of lightning took place where 9 people died and 49 sustained injuries. 319 families were affected from 44 incidents of storm. Other incidents occurred during the period were snake bite, wildfire, heavy rain, flood and animal attack. Authority spokesperson mentioned dry weather, mercury rise and human negligence have been increasing incidents of fire and wildfire in recent period. Opposition parties in Nepal have called on President Ramchandra Paul not to endorse a series of ordinances issued by the government, arguing that they bypass parliamentary procedure and undermine democratic norms. The demand was made following a meeting held at the Parliamentary Party office of Nepali Congress in Singhadarbar, Kathmandu today. The meeting was convened at the initiative of Nepali Congress and brought together leaders from multiple opposition parties. Opposition leaders accused the government of circumventing parliament by repeatedly issuing ordinances despite having already summoned and then postponed a parliamentary session. They described the move as an attempt to sidestep the legislature and urged the president to reject the ordinances. They also called on the government to withdraw and immediately reconvene parliament for proper legislative debate and approval. The meeting was attended by leaders and chief whips from several parties, including Nepali Congress, CPN UML, NCP and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party. Nepali Congress has changes, in fact, in its parliamentary leadership structure in the federal parliament, including nominations for top positions in both the National Assembly and the lower house. According to the party's parliamentary statute, Parliamentary Party leader Bhishmaraj Angdembe has nominated MP Kamala Devi Panta as the leader of the party in the National Assembly, the upper house of the Nepal Parliament. In the lower house, Angdembe has nominated Abhishek Pratap Shah as Deputy Parliamentary Party leader, Basana Thapa as Chief Whip and Nishkal Rai as Whip representing the party. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress Central Disciplinary Committee has decided to put on hold the clarification process initiated against former acting party president Purna Bahadur Khadka following a Supreme Court ruling that validated a special general convention. In a separate decision, the committee has suspended Ramechhap District Party President Purna Bahadur Tamang, barring him from continuing in his position. The party said the action was taken over alleged misleading and baseless statements made with malicious intent against party leadership. We're going for a short break here. More news coming up. Do stay with us. You're watching NTV World and this is Prime Time News. Welcome back. International Day in Memory of the Victims of Earthquakes is being observed for the first time today in different countries of the world with various awareness programs. Since 1900, there have been at least 12 major earthquakes, each of which killed more than 50,000 people. Earthquakes also have substantial economic consequences, accounting for more than a quarter of global disaster losses and causing trillions of dollars in damage in recent decades. In acknowledgement of grave consequences of these disasters, the United Nations has established the International Day in Memory of the Victims of Earthquakes, observed annually on April 29, and tasked the United Nations Officer for Disaster Risk Reduction with facilitating its observance. In April 2025, the UN General Assembly designated April 29 as the International Day in Memory of the Victims of Earthquakes, inviting all member states, organizations of the UN system, and other relevant international organizations to collaborate on the commemoration. Now, a 15-day campaign of nutrition estimation has kicked off across Nepal from today. The Ministry of Health and Population launched the campaign under the slogan, Timely Detection and Treatment, a base of malnutrition-free generation. It is administered among the children from 6 months to 59. Status of malnutrition would be ascertained with the supervision in order to ensure timely treatment. The children suffering from malnutrition would be categorized into 3 levels, which is high, moderate and low risk, which would be helpful to set future programs on health and nutrition of children. Ministry spokesperson Dr. Prakash Budathoki said the drive is expected to give a real picture at local, district and provincial levels. Their campaign will be realized through health and immunization center, community clinics, ward offices, community building and early child development center. It is said Nepal is suffering from 3 aspects of malnutrition, which is undernutrition, obesity and micronutrient deficiencies, thereby exposing health and food security concerns. Despite strict government mandates, private schools across Nepal are reportedly bypassing legal fee ceilings by masking admission charges under creative billing headings, leaving thousands of parents without financial relief. While federal authorities report receiving over 40 grievances daily via new hotlines, a deepening regulatory vacuum remains as local governments hesitate to exercise their constitutional authority to penalize defiant institutions. We examine the growing rift between institutional school operators and the families struggling to afford the rising cost of education. Sabika Shrestha with Shiva Pangini reports.
Most of the private schools in Nepal have been charging high fees in contrary to the government standards. After the government introduced a provision that both admission fees and annual fees cannot be charged, parents have complained that private schools are collecting annual fees, monthly fees, and additional charges under various headings. According to the Institutional School Fee Determination Standard 2015, at the time of admission, only a one-time fee equivalent to 1 month's approved monthly fee of the respective class can be charged. Similarly, an amount equal to 2 months' approved monthly fee can be charged as an annual fee. However, parents complain that private schools, instead of charging only the annual fee, are structuring their annual and monthly fees in such a way that admission fees are also effectively collected. They also complain that although the government has claimed to remove arbitrary fees, the practice has not changed in reality and they have not received any relief.
स्थानीय सरकारहरूले हेर्ने भएपछि झन् व्यथिति बढेको छ अर्थात् समयमा शुल्क निर्धारण नगर्ने वा नगरिएको शुल्क निर्धारण नभएको शुल्कबाट बढी शुल्क लिदिनेबाट अभिभावकहरू प्रताडित हुन्छ त्यहाँ उनीहरूले अनुगमन पनि गर्दिदैन.
Some local governments including Nagarjun municipality, Kageshwari Manohara municipality in Kathmandu and Rapti Babai rural municipality in Dang have implemented the government prescribed standards. However, most private schools across the country have defied government standards and increased fees arbitrarily, leading to a surge of complaints at the federal level. According to the Center for Education and Human Resource Development, more than 40 complaints and grievances are received daily regarding excessive fees charged by private schools. The number of complaints has increased after the center introduced toll-free and hotline numbers to collect grievances. The center has stated that since the responsibility to set and monitor school fees lies with local governments, the federal government cannot directly intervene but is coordinating with local levels on this issue.
संस्थागत विद्यालयहरू केही विद्यालयहरूको अस्वाभाविक शुल्क र पटक-पटक शुल्क असुलीको विषय उठेको छ. यसलाई हामी गुनासोको हिसाबले सम्बन्धित पालिकाहरूलाई स्थानीय सरकार सञ्चालन ऐनपछि माध्यमिक तहसम्मको सम्पूर्ण अधिकार स्थानीय सरकारमा भएको हुनाले तत्त पालिकाहरूसँगको समन्वयमा वास्तविक अवस्था के हो सत्य तथ्य बुझ्ने र नियम विपरीत लिएको शुल्क छ भने विद्यार्थीहरूलाई फिर्ता गर्ने सन्दर्भमा हामी त्यो गुनासो व्यवस्थापन पनि गरेका छौं.
Meanwhile, umbrella organizations of private schools have defended themselves, claiming they should be allowed to charge fees according to the facilities they provide.
पैसाको फी लाग्दैन, भर्ना फ्री हुन्छ भन्ने भएर वार्षिक शुल्कले नै हाम्रो अभिभावकहरूले चाहिँ त्यो नै भर्ना फी हो भनेर बुझ्दिनु भयो. त्यसले अलि अप्ठ्यारो बनायो. तैपनि हामीले कन्भिन्स गर्यौं किनभने वार्षिक शुल्कमा चाहिँ मर्मत सम्भारको कुराहरू बच्चाहरूले चाहिँ अब खेलकुद लगायतका विभिन्न साधन स्रोतहरू जुटाउनु पर्ने हैन टिचर्सलाई ट्रेनिङ दिलाउनु पर्ने यी आदि कुरा नै वार्षिक स्कुलबाट हामी मेन्टेन गर्ने भएको हुनाले त्यसले म्यानेज गर्ने भएको हुनाले अब विद्यालयलाई त्यो अप्ठ्यारो परे पनि अब गार्जियनहरूले चाहिँ त्यो कुरालाई अब उहाँले आफ्नो तर्फबाट चाहिँ त्यो पैसा हाम्रो खर्च भयो हाम्रो गयो हामीलाई यो महँगो भयो भन्ने कुरा छ.
According to the education regulations, the schools must obtain approval from 2/3 of parents and authorization from the local government before increasing fees. However, in practice, school operators are unilaterally increasing fees and issuing bills to parents. Although the Constitution has granted local governments authority over secondary level education, local bodies, despite complaining about lack of authority, have remained silent when it comes to monitoring and regulating schools within their jurisdiction. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Siva Pangini reporting for NTV World.
Nepal's Department of Transport Management has increased public transportation fares effective from today, covering inter-provincial travel across the country. According to an official notice, fares for inter-provincial passenger vehicles hill road freight transport and Tarai freight vehicles have all been raised by 5%. This is the second fare hike in recent months. The Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport had approved the adjustment on April 12, which the department says has now been implemented. Officials noted that increase in diesel and petrol prices contributed to the decision. However, the department clarified electric vehicles are not allowed to increase fares. It is warned that any electric transport operators found raising prices will face legal action. Nepal and China have signed an agreement for a grant worth approximately $81 million to support the second phase of Kathmandu Ring Road expansion project. The agreement was signed at the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure, Transport and Urban Development in Kathmandu by Minister Sunil Lamsal and Chinese Ambassador Zhang Maoming. Under the second phase, the ring road will be extended from Kalanki to Basundhara. The first phase of the project had already expanded the road from Koteshwar to Kalanki. Minister Lamsal said the government would ensure smooth implementation of the project and quickly resolve any obstacles. He added that improving north-south transport links remains a national priority and also expressed confidence that China will further increase its investment in Nepal's infrastructure sector. Ambassador Zhang said Chinese investors are increasingly interested in Nepal, but stressed that a stable and investment-friendly environment is necessary to attract greater participation. The project is aimed at reducing congestion in Kathmandu Valley and strengthening urban transport infrastructure. International news coming up next after this short break. The Israeli Defense Forces said it killed 3 Hezbollah fighters during operations in southern Lebanon, targeting what it described as imminent threats. The military reported additional airstrikes on Hezbollah infrastructure, including sites north of the Yellow Line, as part of a broader campaign to dismantle the group's capabilities. One Israeli soldier was also lightly wounded during the shooting and evacuated for treatment. Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem rejected any direct negotiations with Israel, reaffirming continued resistance. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Hezbollah's actions are undermining the ceasefire and said Israel would continue to respond forcefully. Meanwhile, in Gaza City, mourners gathered for funeral prayers after an Israeli airstrike struck a vehicle and killed 4 people. The incident adds to ongoing violence in the wider conflict involving Israel and armed groups in Gaza Strip. Residents said the strike caused civilian casualties, with Ibrahim al-Zubaydi describing it as a part of pattern of attacks that do not distinguish between civilians and combatants. The situation comes amid continuing hostilities in the region, where airstrikes and ground operations have caused repeated loss of life. The Gaza Strip, a densely populated territory, has seen repeated escalations of violence in recent months. A Seoul High Court has increased the prison sentence of former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol to 7 years on appeal for obstruction of arrest. The court overturned a lower ruling that had sentenced him to 5 years, citing abuse of power and interference with official duties. Judges found that Yoon used presidential security forces to block lawful arrest attempts and hinder anti-corruption investigators. His legal team said it will appeal the decision to Supreme Court of South Korea. Yoon, who was previously impeached and removed from office, also faces a separate life sentence linked to insurrection charges. Now, members of the UK Parliament have voted against referring Prime Minister Keir Starmer to a parliamentary committee over allegations he misled MPs regarding the appointment of a U.S. ambassador linked to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The dispute centers on the controversial appointment of former envoy Peter Mandelson, which had sparked months of political pressure on Starmer's government. Opposition figures had called for an inquiry, arguing the process raised questions about transparency and accountability in ministerial appointments. However, MPs voted against escalating the issue to a formal standards investigation committee. The controversy continues to fuel criticism of the Labour government, with some opponents calling for Starmer's resignation while it seeks to maintain political stability. More from the international front and sports update coming up after this short breather. Venezuela has signed new agreements with Italian energy company Eni to boost oil and natural gas production as the country seeks to revive its struggling energy sector. The deal was announced after interim President Delcy Rodriguez met Eni CEO Claudio Descalzi at the Miraflores Palace in Caracas. The agreements focus on expanding production at key projects, including offshore gas fields and heavy oil areas in the Orinoco Belt, according to company updates and officials. Venezuela, which holds some of the world's largest proven oil reserves, has faced years of sanctions, underinvestment and production decline. The government says the partnership with European firms like Eni is essential to restoring output and stabilizing the country's economy. International organizations, including the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the World Food Programme and UNICEF have warned 7.8 million people in South Sudan will face acute food insecurity between April and July this year. The report, based on the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification System, says this represents about 56% of the country's population and is among the worst levels globally. It estimates that over 73,000 people are already in the most severe catastrophe phase of hunger, a sharp rise from previous assessments. Millions more are classified in emergency and crisis levels of food insecurity, reflecting widespread humanitarian strain. The crisis is being driven by conflict, displacement, flooding, economic decline, and poor agricultural output. Mali's junta leader Assimi Goïta has said the situation is under control in the country 3 days after a major wave of rebel attacks destabilized his military government.
À l'heure où je vous parle, le dispositif est renforcé, la situation est maîtrisée et les opérations de ratissage, de recherche, d'exploitation du renseignement et de sécurisation se poursuivent.
The European Union has found Meta is failing to stop children under 13 from accessing Facebook and Instagram, exposing them to harmful content. EU tech chief Henna Virkkunen said preliminary findings show Meta has weak measures to enforce its own age restrictions. The investigation conducted under the Digital Services Act revealed children can easily bypass safeguards by entering false birth dates. Regulators warned that Meta could face fines of up to 6% of its global annual revenue if the violations are confirmed. Meta has disputed the findings, stating it has systems in place to detect and remove underage users while continuing discussions with the EU.
Today, the Commission has preliminarily found Instagram and Facebook in breach of DSA for failing to prevent minors under the age of 13 from accessing their services. As we know, Meta's app's own terms and rules indicate that Instagram and Facebook, they are not meant for minors who are under 13 years old. Yet our preliminary findings show that Meta is doing very little to prevent children below this age from accessing these platforms.
King Charles III is on a state visit to the U.S. where he met President Donald Trump at the White House for high-level talks aimed at strengthening UK-US relations. The visit featured formal ceremonies, symbolic exchanges and discussions on diplomatic and global cooperation. Charles also addressed the U.S. Congress, marking a notable moment in the state visit, emphasizing the importance of long-standing alliance between the two countries.
The alliance that our two nations have built over the centuries, and for which we are profoundly grateful to the American people, is truly unique. So as we look toward the next 250 years, we must also reflect on our shared responsibility to safeguard nature, our most precious and irreplaceable asset. Our generation must decide how to address the collapse of critical natural systems, which threatens far more than the harmony and essential diversity of nature. We ignore at our peril the fact that these natural systems, in other words, nature's own economy, provide the foundation for our prosperity and our national security.
A state dinner hosted by Trump, where both the leaders exchanged cordial remarks. The visit has been described as a major diplomatic engagement, highlighting continued efforts to reinforce ties between London and Washington. Time now for sports update. Nepal suffered a 102-run defeat by Oman under the Duckworth-Lewis Stern method in the ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 match played at Tribhuvan University International Cricket Ground in Kirtipur. Chasing a target of 306 runs, Nepal were struggling at 155 for 7 in 36 overs when rain interrupted play. The match could not resume beyond the 37th over and the DLS method was applied, resulting in a heavy defeat for the home side. Earlier, Oman posted a strong total of 305 for the loss of 8 wickets in 50 overs after opting to bat first. Captain Jathinder Singh led the innings with a brilliant century, scoring 130. For Nepal, Sompal Kami claimed 4 wickets. Sandeep Lamichhane and Dipender Singh Aidi picked up 2 wickets each. In response, Nepal lost early momentum despite a fighting 60 from Dipender Singh Aidi and 28 from Bhim Sarki. No other batter was able to make a significant contribution as wickets fail regularly. With this result, Oman moved to 3rd place in the standings with 29 points from 25 matches. Nepal remains 2nd from bottom with 14 points from 21 games. FIFA has increased total World Cup cash distributions to nearly $900 million, citing rising costs for participating teams ahead of the tournament. The governing body also announced new rules for the World Cup starting June 11 in Mexico, including red cards for players who cover their mouths during confrontations as part of an anti-racism initiative.
The revenues are above expectations, and this allows us to do 2 things. One is, of course, to increase our investments in football development, and the other one is the decision that we took today, which is increasing the preparation money, the contributions for the member associations, and we did it for over 100 million, 112 million more, which will be at the disposal of our member associations to help them prepare for the tournament, participate in the tournament in the best possible conditions. So we are now at almost 900 million all in all for the participating 48 countries.
Before wrapping up, here's a reminder of our top stories this hour. Nepal braces for severe weather, flights disrupted nationwide. Authorities urge high vigilance in Tarai districts. Nepal's opposition parties urge president to block government ordinances. Leaders accuse government of bypassing parliament. Private schools accused of charging excessive fees despite government rules. Parents allege schools taking fees under various pretexts. China to fund Nepal's ring road expansion with $81 million grant. Agreement signed for second phase of Kathmandu highway upgrade. Israel says it killed Hezbollah fighters in southern Lebanon as cross-border tensions escalate. 4 reported dead in Gaza City in Israeli airstrike. And Nepal suffers 102-run defeat to Oman in ICC Cricket World Cup League 2. Rain-interrupted chase ends under DLS method. That's it for this edition of Primetime News. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu. Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World. Facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries. Where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
Hello and welcome to The Perspective on NTV World. I am Sabika Shrestha, your host for The Perspective. From major headlines to the issues behind them, we break down the week's top stories and explore how they are shaping the path forward. This week's episode includes demolition drives and nationwide encroachment removals, with public displacement concerns mounting amid ongoing rainfall in Nepal. Political turbulence in the Rashtriya Swatantra Party-led government after rapid ministerial exits, a sweeping zero-file campaign under Prime Minister Balendra Shah targeting bureaucratic delays, and a landmark pledge of a state apology to the Dalit community, signaling major social reform ahead in Nepal. Kathmandu is intensifying its citywide push to clear squatters from riverbanks and public land, displacing hundreds as part of a broader urban reform drive aimed at reducing flood risks and improving living conditions. While authorities promised relocation and support for affected families, the sweeping demolitions are reshaping communities across the capital and drawing mixed reactions from residents navigating an uncertain transition. Here's a story from the ground after the clearances. This is the scene on the aftermath of the government's demolition drive at a river bank in Nepal's federal capital, Kathmandu. Broken huts, home appliances and kitchenwares, and the dust. In fact, some of the individuals who had been residing in those illegal settlements are seen busy selling the remains to scraps. Acting under the direction of Prime Minister Balendra Shah, authorities carried out demolitions in key areas including Thapatali, Gairigaon, Sinamangal, Balkhu, Kuleshwar, and stretches along the Bagmati and Manohara corridors on Saturday. Officials say these settlements, long exposed to flooding, pollution, and a lack of basic services, pose serious risks to residents. Displaced families have been moved to temporary shelters and designated safe apartments, with the government providing food, transport, and emergency support. Vulnerable groups, including the elderly, sick, pregnant women, and children, were transported in metropolitan vehicles with police assistance to ensure immediate care and safety. A registration and verification process is underway at sites such as Dasarath Stadium to identify genuinely landless households who will be relocated to government-managed housing in the coming weeks. Authorities maintain the move is aimed at long-term rehabilitation and safer living rather than displacement.
सरकारले कुनै ठाउँमा यस्तो कामहरु गर्नु पर्यो भनेदेखि अल्टिमेट दिएर 15 दिन सूचना दिएर 7 दिन सूचना दिएर त्यही पनि भन्छ ल 3 दिनमा त बाइक छ तपाईहरुको भनेर अनि त्यसपछि त्यो गरिबहरु बस्या ठाउँमा उनीहरुले कोठा खोट्नु पाउँछ उनीहरु अलिकति आफ्नो व्यवस्था गर्न सकिन्छ आफ्नो व्यवस्थातिर लाग्न जान सक्छ यस्तो भाताभुङ हुनु पर्ने थिएन तर त्यो नगरिकन नै सरकारले हामीलाई भाताभुङ गरिदिनु भएको छ तर यस्तो नहोस् भन्ने चाहिँ चाहन्छु म त
गरिब दुखीलाई चाहिँ यसरी अब सधैँ दुख नहोस् भनेर चाहिँ उहाँले केही न केही गर्नुभयो राम्रैको लागि गर्नुभयो नराम्रो भन्न मिल्दैन हैन उहाँले नि केही न केही सोचेरै गर्नुभयो होला भन्ने अब आश छ हैन
The issue of squatter settlements has lingered for years, often triggering protests whenever eviction efforts surfaced. However, officials say the current drive, led by a younger, reform-focused administration, signals a more coordinated push toward durable housing solutions and urban order, with assurances that no affected family will be left without support. In a related development, authorities across Nepal have stepped up efforts to clear illegal structures, with similar drives gradually unfolding beyond Kathmandu and expanding nationwide. The encroachment removal campaign aims to reclaim public land and enforce urban planning laws, even as concerns grow over displacement and the lack of prior notice in several areas.
The government of Nepal has launched a nationwide campaign to remove illegal structures built on government and public land. The operation, which has gained significant public attention, has sparked a debate, particularly in the Kathmandu Valley, where enforcement has been most visible. On the first day of the campaign, authorities demolished illegal structures along riverbanks in areas including Thapathali, Sinamangal, Ghairigao and Santinagar in the capital, Kathmandu. The drive is not limited to the capital. Similar actions are being carried out across several districts of the country, including Rupandehi, Navalparasi, Birganj and Nuwakot. In Birganj metropolitan city, a major demolition drive has cleared more than 1,000 illegal structures along a key road section. The operation has triggered anger among local residents and the traders who claim they were given insufficient time to prepare for the evictions. Following the clearance of structures within 25 meters on both sides of the Gandakchok-Miteri Bridge road section, debris such as bricks, wood and iron remains scattered along the roadside. It is estimated that around 1,200 private houses and 29 government structures have been impacted so far.
सडक विभागको चाहिँ नि मार्किङ गर्ने व्यक्तिहरू आएर चाहिँ नि सबै ठाउँमा सडक नाप्दै सेन्टर पोइन्ट देखि कहाँसम्म पर्छ भन्ने कुरो चाहिँ उहाँहरूले चाहिँ मार्किङ गरेर बताउनुहुन्छ र जहाँसम्म 25 मिटर पछिको कुरो हो महानगरपालिकाले चाहिँ 5-5 फिट चाहिँ सेड ब्याक लिने चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ निर्णय गरेका छौं मलबाको कुरो छ त्यो सबै चाहिँ सडक विभागले उठाउँछ र त्यसलाई व्यवस्थापन कहाँ गर्ने भन्ने स्थान चाहिँ वीरगञ्ज महानगरपालिकाले देखाउँछ
Similarly, in Parasi, the headquarters of West Navalparasi, authorities have begun action against structures built in violation of road standards. Ramgram municipality deployed bulldozers in the Parasi market area to demolish such encroachment, stating that the campaign will continue in surrounding rural areas. In another operation, the Galchi Raswagari Road Project Office removed a dozen government and 86 private structures constructed on encroached government in various locations of Bidur Municipality, Nuwakot.
Regarding this issue, we have talked to former Secretary and Urban Planner Mr. Kishore Thapa about how settlements in Kathmandu are more organized. Here's the interview. Welcome to Perspective, sir.
Thank you.
What long-term urban planning solutions can prevent the recurring issue of illegal settlements along riverbanks and public land?
This is due to the lack of land use planning in our urban areas, since we are not following and enforcing the land use planning of Kathmandu Valley, although it exists in paper. And since once we do not allocate any land use in a particular piece of land, it becomes unattended. And the squatters, the poor people, they are tempted to stay in those areas by encroaching that public land. So it is basically a lack of land use planning initiatives on the part of the government. So once we designate appropriate land use in each and every part of the city, that area can be used for that particular use, and these squatters they cannot encroach in that area. So land use planning is very, very important for us.
Mr. Thapa, what do you think? How should the city integrate housing needs for low-income groups into formal planning to avoid future encroachment?
They are forced to squat in these areas because they cannot afford rent, because the rent in Kathmandu is very, very high. They cannot afford to buy a piece of land. So their only option is to squat on public land. So for these kind of people, the municipality, the government, they have to allocate a certain area. Either they have to provide very low-income housing or some kind of resettlement schemes. Then they can be accommodated in that area. So it is basically an issue of the housing right of the poor people, and the housing right has to be addressed by this state.
Mr. Thapa, there has been mixed reaction related to the recent action of government of this demolition of squatters area. What is your thought on this?
The government has taken a very correct step in this case, and they have done, I think they have done a very good homework, and the preparation was done in a very professional way. So as a result of this good preparation, these untoward incidents has not happened in this area. There are no very huge casualties on both sides, on the state side and the squatter side. And most of the squatters, they have accepted the government's these steps, and they are being relocated to some other area, particularly in the Ichongu area, where there are 233 apartments designated for the squatters. So only thing is that the complaint of the squatters, what I see from these news and some of these videos, is that some of the issues of the pregnant women, the issue of children, the issue of senior citizens has not been adequately addressed. So on humanitarian ground, the municipal authorities, the government authorities, they have to take care of the special needs of the people with disabilities, of women, children, and senior citizens. Once their concern and their special needs are addressed, I think this whole the program for relocating the squatters from these river banks will be very, very successful.
How can Kathmandu integrate green spaces and flood resilient planning into both new and existing urban settlements?
You know, due to the climate change, we are facing the problem of these flash floods and inundation and landslides. These disasters are occurring frequently. So we cannot allow settlements along the river banks in any other regions. So what we have to do in this case is that we have to keep these flood-prone areas on both sides of the rivers, and this should be developed as parks. It can be developed as a agriculture area. We can do that, and the settlements has to be kept on not on the banks but in a safer place. That we should see. We should look into the matter, and whatever urban planning we do, we have to consider this climate change and the resilience. Climate resilience steps has to be taken while planning all these low-income housing settlements, planning all other urban expansion areas in Kathmandu.
Thank you for your time and insights, Mr. Kishore Thapa.
You are welcome.
In the political landscape, developments within the Rashtriya Swatantra Party-led government have further heightened public attention. Less than a month into the new administration, 2 ministers have exited, raising fresh questions over stability and governance. Home Minister Sudan Gurung resigned amid controversy over his financial dealings, while Labour Minister Deepak Kumar Shah was dismissed just 2 weeks into office. The back-to-back departures have intensified scrutiny over accountability and ethical standards within the government.
Less than a month after the formation of the new government, 2 ministers have exited their positions, placing issues of governance, ethics and public accountability firmly in focus. Home Minister Sudan Gurung resigned on Wednesday, citing moral responsibility amid growing controversy over his past financial conducts, including share investments. His resignation follows the earlier dismissal of Labour, Employment and Social Security Minister Deepak Kumar Shah, who was removed from office just 14 days after assuming his role. Gurung announced his decision through a social media post, stating that he stepped down to allow an impartial investigation into allegations surrounding a potential conflict of interest. The controversy centers on his reported investment in Star Micro Insurance Company, which is also linked to tainted business person Deepak Bhatta, who faces money laundering accusations. Prior to stepping down, Gurung met Prime Minister Balendra Shah. Earlier, Labour Minister Shah was dismissed following controversy over statements beyond his jurisdiction and allegations related to appointing his wife to the Health Insurance Board. These developments have have also prompted caution within the ruling party, especially other ministers, including Health Minister Nisha Mehta, signaling a stricter stance on accountability. The departure of ministers within weeks of the government's formation has drawn increased attention from both the public and political stakeholders. Opposition parties had urged Gurung to step down and called for an independent investigation, reflecting broader concerns around transparency and the need to uphold legal and ethical standards. These incidents highlight the government's stated commitment to good governance, where ministers are expected to uphold responsibility and step aside when questions arise. At the same time, they raise broader questions about whether allegations are being thoroughly and fairly investigated and whether those involved are given adequate opportunity to respond. The swift developments are being interpreted by some as an indication of an evolving political culture, where resignation is increasingly viewed as an acknowledgement of moral duty. However, sustaining public trust will depend not only on such actions, but also on the credibility and transparency of the investigative and accountability processes that follow.
In another significant policy move, the new administration has also made a historic commitment on social justice. On its first day in office, the government announced plans for a formal state apology to the Dalit community for centuries of discrimination, alongside a broader framework for reform. The decision has been widely welcomed as a landmark step toward inclusion and equality in Nepal. But as national and regional discussions intensify, attention is now shifting to how effectively these commitments will be implemented in practice. Here's a report.
To understand why the government apology matters, we have to look back to 172 years. Dalits make up around 14 to 16% of the total population of Nepal. They are scattered across the country, with the highest concentration in western Nepal, specifically in Karnali and Sudur provinces. In 1854, the Muluki Ain, that is, the National Code of Nepal, didn't just reflect society, it codified it. This legal code officially classified human beings into pure and impure, turning discrimination into the law of the land. It took over a century to finally outlaw the legislative exclusion of this community. In 1963, National Code declared caste-based discrimination a criminal offense. From the formation of the Dalit Commission in 2002 to the promulgation of landmark Caste-Based Discrimination and Untouchability Offense and Punishment Act 2011, the state slowly traded its shackles for shields. But how does that legal armor translate to reality? Today, the gap is shrinking in numbers, but it still exists. To truly represent the people, Dalits should hold 13 out of 100 seats in parliament. Right now, they hold 9. It is a record high, but they are yet to fill in the remaining 4% allotted for them. In the civil service, only 7 out of 100 officers are Dalit. At the local level, the scenario is better, with nearly 12% representation. The new federal administration has sparked hope by including a historic and symbolically strong message. The administration included a pledge to extend state apology to the Dalit community for all the sufferings laid upon them for centuries. From a discriminatory 1854 Muluki Ain to an apology in 2026, the words are on the record.
Amid these developments, the government has also moved to streamline bureaucracy through an aggressive administrative push. Prime Minister Balendra Shah's administration has cleared a massive backlog following a week-long zero-file campaign, which authorities say will now be institutionalized as a permanent policy. The initiative aims to ensure timely decision-making with strict disciplinary action proposed for officials responsible for future delays, signaling a broader effort to improve governance efficiency. A report.
The culture of pending files in government offices may soon be a thing of the past. 7 days into the zero-file campaign, the Prime Minister's office reports a drastic reduction in administrative sluggishness. Launched on April 20th with a directive issued to all 3 levels of government, The campaign culminated in a zero-file week that ended on April 20th. Initial progress reports suggest that the initiative has successfully cleared a massive backlog of pending decisions. The campaign is aimed directly at improving public service delivery. Spokesperson for the Office of the Prime Minister and Council of Ministers states that while the law mandates timely services, employees often use various excuses to delay work. This campaign was designed to break that cycle.
सरकारी निकायमा निर्णय प्रक्रिया छरितो होस् त्यहाँ कुनै पनि नागरिकले झन्झट बेहोर्न नपरोस् निर्णयमा ढिलाइ भएका कारणले झन्झट बेहोर्न नपरोस् र सरकारी कार्यालयको भित्रको आन्तरिक निर्णय प्रक्रिया पनि सहज र सरल बन्दै जाओस् भन्ने उद्देश्यका साथ यो अभियान चाहिँ सुरुवात गरिएको हो। हेर्दाखेरि अहिले यो 7 दिनको एउटा सप्ताहव्यापी अभियान भए पनि यो अभियान चाहिँ 7औं दिन सकिसकेपछि पनि निरन्तर रूपमा सबै सरकारी कार्यालयहरूले गर्ने गरी मार्गदर्शनको रूपमा सबै निकायहरूलाई चाहिँ पठाइएको छ।
While the exact data on the total number of files cleared is still being compiled, the government has announced that zero file will no longer be a one-week event. It will now be a year-round operational standard. Administrative experts have long urged the government to implement the citizen's character with compensation as outlined in the Good Governance Act. They argue that negligence in service delivery increased in the past because individual employees were rarely held financially or professionally responsible.
That's all from the perspective for this week's edition. We will be back next week with major updates. Stay tuned to NTV World.
Welcome to Declassified Beyond the Brief with me, Devendra Subedi. Today we bring you the story from the alleys of Kathmandu to NASDAQ, which is the US stock exchange. The gentleman we have with us today recently hit headlines in Nepal as a successful entrepreneur whose company, Fuse Machines, a company working in the field of artificial intelligence, which we call AI, made its debut at the NASDAQ or the US stock exchange. In this episode of Declassified, we try to explore the journey of a successful Nepali in global business arena. Artificial intelligence itself, changing trends in global business world, Nepali identity abroad, and much more.
Dr. Samir Maske, a change maker, computer scientist, and educator, has spent his career at the crossroads of innovation and education. He believes artificial intelligence isn't just transforming industries, it's reshaping opportunity itself. In 2013, he founded Fuse Machines, a New York-based company with a bold mission to democratize AI and make its benefits accessible to all. Though headquartered in the United States, its roots and much of its talent remain deeply connected to Nepal, where the company first launched its AI fellowship program, training local engineers and students in cutting-edge technology. Over the past decade, Fuse Machines has empowered thousands of AI learners and built advanced solutions across finance, healthcare, retail, and media, bridging academics and industry. Its proprietary platform, AI Studio, drives predictive and generative AI systems, helping businesses automate decisions, detect fraud, and make sense of data at scale. Listed on NASDAQ in October 2025, Fuse Machines reached a valuation of about $200 million. From Kathmandu to New York, Dr. Maske's vision proves that innovation and education can bridge worlds, turning intelligence into opportunity.
Please welcome Dr. Samir Maske, founder and CEO of Fuse Machine.
Thank you for having me here.
Dr. Maske, is the joy of being listed in NASDAQ still soaking in?
Definitely. It was a very long, arduous, hard journey to get listed in NASDAQ. And it's a relief, obviously. And it's slowly sinking in that we're actually now listed in NASDAQ and we're a public company.
So we're pretty lucky because we caught you in person here in Kathmandu, because you're basically based in your headquarters in New York. Is it a holiday trip after that success?
It's partly holiday trip, partly work. So my family, my mother, sister, brother, basically pretty much all of my extended family is here. So I'm here to see them. And then because how difficult the process was, the usual trips I used to make months of times a year, I had not been able to make it for almost last 12 months to see all the colleagues and employees here in Nepal office. So part of it is just coming back to see everyone and see all the colleagues in Fuse Machines, Nepal.
It will be an interesting conversation with Dr. Samir Maske, but initially what we're going to do is we are going to go to the roots of Dr. Maske. Let's start with your journey, Dr. Maske. Can you tell us more about your journey from the alleys of Kathmandu, I'd prefer to say it, to NASDAQ?
Definitely. So I was born and raised in Nepal. Yeah, so as a child, I would run in the gullies of Tamil. That's where I grew up. I went to school here. Finished my SLC, it's called ACE now, and the ISC, and now it's mostly plus 10 plus 2 and A-levels and so forth. So I finished my ISC, taking science as a subject. And during my last year, I applied for colleges in the US. I got a scholarship into a few colleges, and that's when my journey to the United States started. Went to the US, to Bates College. It's a small college up in Maine, and studied math and physics, and then went on to do a PhD in AI because I was interested in computer science. I was interested in making machines talk, making machines understand us. And so that research passion led me doing a PhD, after which I joined IBM Watson Research Center, where I continued to do research on speech-to-speech translation system, like English to French, German, Chinese, Arabic, many different kinds of speech-to-speech translation systems, question answering systems, deep question answering systems and whatnot. And as I did that for quite a while, after some time, I left IBM and then started teaching AI courses at Columbia University, and then also started Fuse Machines, which was also based on basically all the learnings I had done on AI and thinking about how to turn that into a business.
It is an interesting fact that Dr. Samir Maski is currently an adjunct associate professor at the University of Colombia teaching AI. So it's not just business, right? Can you tell us more about how your academics helped you build a business?
Education has been very close to my heart for a long time. My mom was a school teacher, like it's called, that's a Bhagwan Bal, as this primary school. So I'd seen her teach all of these kids. And when I used to come back from school, I could see her teaching and so forth, and would wait outside. So, and I've seen over the years how education, the students she has taught to all these kids have grown up now and are successful in their own businesses or education and so forth. So academia has always been very close and always been very interested in it. And that's why I ended up doing a PhD. Like research was a passion, knowledge was a passion. So because of that, when I was in my undergrad and I was studying math and physics, I wanted to build a speech synthesis system. And that led me to a library where I found a book and then started reading about it and taught myself how to build a speech synthesizer. And that started my academic journey on AI, like almost 25 years ago.
So you started your journey into AI, doing research, your academics in AI almost 25 years ago.
Yes, when nobody cared about AI. Right now, AI is, like everybody talks about AI, but 25 years ago, nobody cared. And it was just sheer interest on how things work as an engineering field.
I'd be wrong if I say your interest was only in IT at that time. In fact, 25 years ago, you were already targeting your zeroing on your interest area as AI then 25 years ago.
Yes. In fact, the first, I had built this Nepali text-to-speech synthesizer, which is making machines talk in Nepali. And I released it as an open source software. I did a presentation at NAST, at the time RONAST, and I gave a presentation on how to build a Nepali speech synthesis, like making machines speak in Nepali. And that was 24 years ago.
How was the reaction after that? Did anybody come back and consult you and try to develop that into a new thing in Nepal?
It was good, like at the moment but it didn't materialize into anything else out of it. So we released it as open source. But Nepal was pretty far behind in computer science, IT, especially 20-something years ago. There was barely internet, right? And a lot of the talent we have, who has exposure, was not there yet. So nobody really knew what to do with it. You know, somebody came, presented Nepali speech synthesis system. Okay, it sounds great, but how to use it here, how to build on it, none of that happened. So that software just stayed there in the shelf.
Before starting your own company, you worked for some world-renowned companies. When exactly did you decide it's time now for me to start my business?
So after PhD, I worked at IBM Watson Research Center as a research staff member for a few years. And as I mentioned, it was that interest of building speech-to-speech translation system, and IBM had one of the best speech-to-speech translation system research group at the time. And as I did research and published papers, and did more research and published papers, it came to a point where I saw, well, I've been doing research by then I'd been doing research for almost 15 years. And we're doing research and publishing. Like, it's not really impacting lives in the scale that I wanted. So after about 5 years after working at IBM, I said, okay, can I take all the learnings in AI I've been doing since like early 2000, this is like 2013, 2012. Can I take all of that and apply into a business and start a company, build an AI product and sell it, to build a business around it so that it can have impact? And that's sort of what I did.
In the next part of the conversation, we'll talk about the Fuse machines itself. Well, Dr. Maski, if I don't ask you these questions, maybe I'll not be doing justice to my viewers as well. How rich are you at this moment?
It all depends on how one perceives wealth, right? At the end of it, what matters is the family and health. for me, that's the most important thing, the family and being there and making an impact and so forth. The total market cap when it for the deal was 200 million. Post money is 280 million. And the opening, at that opening had $10. It has gone down and is opened at less. So as the share prices move back and forth, you know, it could come down, it could go up, and so forth. But it's no longer just me, right? It's all of our employees, many of our employees are shareholders, a lot of the investors are shareholders.
Is it possible for a Nepal-based company to be enlisted globally, like in NASDAQ or in other global share market or stock exchanges? Is it possible? It has to be US-based.
I think from legality perspective, at least Nepal laws do not allow a fully Nepali company to be listed in NASDAQ because of some of the old rules and laws around Nepali citizens' rights of owning foreign assets and foreign shares and so forth. If that changes, then definitely so. As of right now, it has to be, at least as of right now, if there are companies that are headquartered in the US and is based in the US, but have, you know, significant presence and have origins in Nepal, they can definitely list in NASDAQ.
So you are the first company that was founded by a Nepali person of Nepali origin to be enlisted in NASDAQ. How big is it?
I would say, you know, being the company that has, basically we have a lot of presence in here. We are Nepali roots, Nepali values, and so forth. And from that perspective, being one of the first company to have such level of roots and ties to Nepal and being listed in NASDAQ is extremely satisfying, obviously. And I hope it becomes an example for other companies to strive and be listed in NASDAQ or other New York, other stock exchanges. And I hope we are the first among many to do that.
What's your next business plan? Like, you're spreading slowly into a global business. You are already in South America, in some of the countries in North America, Canada, US, also Nepal-based, you said. So what's your next plan to promote the business globally?
Especially as a public company, growth is one of the most significant metric that everybody looks at us from, right? So from that perspective, one of the biggest focus would be growth. Both organic growth with you know, with our own team doing more sales and so forth, and with inorganic growth as well, with potential acquisitions and M&A activities and so forth. As far as the scaling out from just the US and Nepal, we've already on multiple countries, and we will continue to expand based on the needs of the clients, based on where we see the most value being generated and where the growth from sales happens.
There must have been challenges in the journey. Right now, as you said, you started it in 2013, almost 12 years of hard work, promotion, dedication, vision, innovation, as you said, right? As I have seen, as I saw myself, most of the Nepalese or Nepali diaspora in the US, I found a lot of youngsters working in the field of IT. So what are the challenges for, let's say, Nepali youngsters in the US or even in Nepal to build a business in IT or AI at present? What are the major challenges that you would suggest they should resolve those first?
Particularly in Nepal?
Nepal, as well as the Nepali diaspora in the US who want to emulate your steps.
I would say Nepali diaspora has an easy, I mean, starting a company is not easy, obviously, but if you look at the challenges, the youth in Nepal, they are faced with more challenges on trying to start a business and scale it. I would say there are various reasons for it, and there are many kinds of challenges. And one of the biggest challenges, I would say, is on funding. Because especially as a smaller company, as a smaller startup, funding, you do need funding to sustain the company as you try to figure out product market fit, service market fit, and you need to be able to sustain that while you might not be making a lot of revenue. Especially if you want to go for, you know, solving very extremely hard problems. you might not have a revenue coming in soon. In those cases, places like the United States or other countries, there's more capital, there's more risk capital available where the investors may take a chance saying, okay, let's see where this can lead to, where you are able to take the risk and really build a very strong suite of products without having a clear revenue model right in the day one. But obviously all businesses require revenue models, but you get longer time to do that. In Nepal, there is not a lot of financing mechanisms for an entrepreneur to stay afloat while they are taking this risk and building these extremely difficult products. So that's one of the biggest challenges I see.
For an innovation like AI, IT, initially, to be an enterprise has to have an impact. In Nepal, where IT still is, I would not say a luxury right now, because we do have access almost across the country right now, though intermittent at times. So what challenge do you see in a country like ours, where you would see more and more IT-based company, AI-based companies emerging?
So besides the capital, I think compute infrastructure there's not, for example, even we struggle to find enough GPUs. And for AI, you need a lot of GPUs and compute power to build these models, train these models, inference, and do an inference and so forth. And if we want the tech infrastructure and the overall tech ecosystem in Nepal to really produce a lot of tech companies, IT companies that are building products for Nepal, in Nepal, for Nepalese, then the compute infrastructure needs to be figured out. And that has not been done so. So I think that's one of the challenges. There are other challenges, obviously, from intellectual property laws and so forth, right? Like in a lot of more developed countries, some of these laws are more fine-tuned, so nobody can just do whatever they want, and if they're infringing copyrights and so forth, some of those needs to be also tightened up, so that somebody who's taking that risk and building something has some capacity to say, this is what I built and this is my intellectual property.
Going back to Fuse Machines, Dr. Maske, what makes a great company? Fuse Machines, let's say, where would you rank in the scale of a great company from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest?
I do not know how to rank the company that I started. But what I can say is, for any company, one of the most crucial factor is the culture of the company, on how everybody comes together to do something very big. And in order to do that, one of the most important stuff is vision. Like, what is the overall vision of the company? So I think the vision brings about the clarity on where you want to go. And the culture is part of the main DNA of the company that makes a company exciting to work for, exciting to join, exciting to build things for. And those parameters makes a great company.
So if I say it's great visionary leadership, backed up by a very creative and ethical workforce, that makes a great company. Would I be wrong?
Yeah, I think that is a good way to sum it.
So Fuse Machine is right in that track. Would you say that?
So we have amazing set of leaders in the company who are unified in the vision of democratizing AI, and that thesis of what we believe in, of making sure, especially talent is everywhere, but opportunities are not, and opportunities should be, and having that clarity on that vision and all the leadership seeing that and creating the culture needed for the company to fulfill that dream. I think that makes the Fuse Machines be able to execute things the way we want, that has allowed us to be at this stage.
How is the work culture, as you said, like how multinational is the team right now in Fuse Machines?
Oh, very much. So, there many languages get spoken. We are across quite a few countries in Latin America as well. We have employees in India, consultants in India. We have largest presences in Nepal. Then we're in Canada. So there's a mix of different cultures and languages, which makes it very exciting
to work as and to lead it as well. Yes. Well, very, very inspiring story of Dr. Samir Maske. That's what we are hearing right now, right here at the studios of NTV World. And in the next part of this conversation, we talk about Dr. Samir Maske as an international Nepali citizen, the flag bearer of Nepal in the global market. Dr. Maske, you have emerged as a Nepali flag bearer in the global business arena, but the emergence or your, let's say, emergence was remained a pleasant surprise to many in Nepal. It was very quiet journey. We only came to know about your fuse machines, Dr. Samir Maske, very few. But how did you keep it so quietly, or how did you do it intentionally quietly?
I mean, we've been building the business for almost 12, 13 years. And when you are truly trying to fulfill your vision, it's never about, you know, it's never about marketing and brand and stories and whatnot. It's about the overall ethos of what you're trying to do, which is impact lives, bring job opportunities, provide high quality AI education. So we've been doing that for a while because that's the core mission of Fuse Machines. And as we have done it, people have heard about some of the fellowship programs we have done. So we started AI Fellowship, Fuse Machines AI Fellowship, almost 7-8 years ago. I took some of my courses and packaged it and then taught it here to a surprisingly amazing results, which allowed us and said, okay, we should take that and make it a full-blown AI Fellowship program. Mm. And now, especially among young youth who are trying to learn AI, they know the AI Fellowship program quite well. Whenever we open the fellowship programs, we get thousands of applicants. So, it's among the community of AI and engineers, people do know about Fuse Machines, mm-hmm. but probably maybe not in a broader Nepal view.
Anyway, it has been a very successful journey, but can you define success now? It's a very, let's say, ambiguous question I might be asking, but for you, what is success? How can you define it, relating it to you personally?
So, success, the word success could mean different things for different people, right? Depending on the age, depending on where you're at the stage of life and so forth. For a young kid, passing that final exam and getting 100% is the success. For a global world leader, making, impacting millions of lives is probably a success. So it means different things for different people. If I had to think about that word itself, what comes to my mind is family, being there for them. My wife, my kids, my mother, my sister, brother, and so forth, and being there when they need me, and being able to share the experience as a whole together is a success.
Has it changed you a bit, the success that you've achieved in the last few years, especially after, let's say, the enlisting in the US stock exchange? Has it changed you personally? Has your life changed, or it's still the same?
No, nothing has changed. It is still the same. I mean, there's been a bit of exposure here, and there's been news articles and whatnot, but no, nothing has changed on a day-to-day life.
Well, Dr. Maske, being a Nepali citizen originally, was it difficult or easier for you to work in the US, especially when you were trying to build up a business?
US is a melting pot of pretty much all citizens around the world, of all ethnicity, races, and so forth. I went as a very young kid, right after high school, and it didn't make as much of a difference, especially when you are among the students who are all there to study. Nepal definitely has that charm for a lot of people, where they learn about Mount Everest, they learn about the culture here, and so forth. From a perspective of having deep roots and values that have been instilled to me by my mom and the family has definitely helped, right? The transparency, truth, ethics, these are like hospitality, these are some of the values that you learn in Nepal when you grow up. And those have definitely helped me in a global world on being able to compete.
So your roots have definitely helped you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Nepali roots have absolutely helped me.
We are just talking about the journey, the dedication, the hard work that Dr. Samir Maske and his team, the multinational team behind the success of the Fuse machine, put up in these 13 years for the investment in NASDAQ. Now, in the next part of our conversation, we talk about AI, which I am a novice in, and to much of our viewers must be more interesting because they are much into it. How would you define AI, the artificial intelligence, Dr. Maske, being a practitioner and in fact a person who has built up a business, a very successful one in it? How would you define AI? What exactly is AI?
You can think of it as a machine that takes input, does a reasoning on it, and produces an output that is useful for humans. If I were to define it in the simplest form, that's what it would be. That reasoning system that sits in the middle, taking input and producing outputs that's useful for humans.
Is it still an evolving technology, or it's at its peak? In the next 5 years, how would it evolve if it's evolving?
It is still very evolving. And the pace of evolution or the change in AI and the tech behind AI is unlike I've ever seen before, right? Like I did research in question answering system. The natural language processing world has been my life from PhD to at IBM to teaching, all of that. But over the last 5 years, suddenly everything has changed in AI. A lot of things have changed. So the speed at which AI is changing is extremely rapid, and it will continue to do so. Definitely there is a little bit of overhype where people think, like when I talk to some enterprise C-suite, they think, they may have heard and read and whatnot, and they think everything under the sun can be solved with AI, which is not the case. But it can do a lot at the moment.
Where do you see the technology in the next 5 years?
So,
especially I'm asking you this question because there's a few people like me who do not have much information about AI. We fear as if it is going to replace human intelligence, or even job loss, or let's say loss of privacy. These are some of the issues that we basically fear. So is that a valid fear in us?
Some of it could be valid from a perspective of, maybe not in 5 years, but in 10 years, are all the cars going to drive itself, right? And I was just in San Francisco recently, and
that's already a reality there.
It's already a reality. I ordered a Waymo, which is similar to Uber, but it's a driverless car. A car just came near me, the door opened, I sat inside, and it just took me a route, stopped and opened and got out. There was no driver. So now that tech is evolving very fast, and more cities are producing that. Now that could generate a genuine questions to all the people who are making their livelihood based on driving cars or driving, like providing this.
Or the Uber service, let's say, to be specific in the US.
Now, should they be worried a bit?
They are worried because I had a very interesting conversation with some of the people in LA itself who are in this service. So they were pretty much worried, especially the diaspora, Nepali diaspora, or the people who are relying to that. So that could be a possibility.
That could definitely be a possibility. So there are jobs where it could potentially be fully automated. But having said that, I would say AI brings in a lot of augmentation and efficiency gains, which will not necessarily replace the human, but produce a lot more efficient human, almost like a superhuman, where the person will be able to do more jobs in less amount of time. And that efficiency gains could impact overall economic output, which could then generate a lot more new kind of jobs, right? Like already there is prompt engineering, which does not exist before. AI audit like auditing AI models. Those kind of jobs did not exist. So there are new jobs already being created. So I think that will happen as well.
How foolproof is it, Dr. Maske? Can we 100% rely on it?
Foolproof as in, will it always be accurate? I mean, depends on the problem that it is working on.
Since you're talking about auditing, for example, so would it be 100% correct in that sense?
At least probably, if you try to build an AI audit system at this point, it probably will not. And in many cases, it might never be 100%, because we as humans also make error.
Or the people like you would like to leave some space for the humans there as well?
No, the thing is, the AI is just learning from humans. And when it's learning from humans, if the training data has certain amount of ambiguity, then it will also not be able to separate out some of those ambiguities, in which case it will make those errors. So in many cases, you will see 95% accuracy or 96%. In some instances, it has gone to 99%. But if you look at enterprise AI being built right now, in many cases, it is actually 90% or less than 90%, right? So there's still a decent amount of progress that we need to do to make AI what I quote unquote foolproof, which is not the case for every instance right now.
Well, enlighten me on this particular question, Dr. Maske. People like me who are still a novice, or people like many of our viewers who are pretty much, let's say, a novice in AI, will they be a misfit in near future in the society?
Misfit as in?
In terms of everything, because we are taking assistance for AI, as you said earlier, could be a misinterpretation or misuse of the technology itself, for each and everything, from students doing their homework to designing mega projects. We have heard AI can be used and is being used. So if you do not know how to get acquainted with it, or if you're not acquainted with it, will that person be a misfit soon in the society?
Yeah, I would say as the AI evolves and it produces these tools that we can use for efficiency gains and so forth, the more and more people should learn how to use some of these tools, because if you don't use it, I don't know if misfit is the word, but you will be left behind, right? Because somebody else who has a similar job or role and academic credentials, if knows how to be 50% or 100% more efficient because he or she knows how to use the tools, then obviously that person has an advantage.
Let's move on to one of the slogans of your company, Dr. Maske. Democratizing AI is one of the slogans of your company, Fuse Machines. Can you tell us more about it? Why AI needs democratization? And what does that slogan exactly mean?
For us, it means providing AI education, high quality AI education in all the underserved countries and communities around the world and in the United States. And providing that access to AI such that everybody is able to learn AI and build AI for their own communities. That's what democratized AI means for us.
So your company is championing that. How much of that contribution your company has started making in, let's say, making it more accessible in every nooks and corners of this world, let's say?
So we've been doing AI fellowship as part of the democratizing AI effort in Nepal. We've done in a few countries in Africa, we've done in Latin America, we've done in the United States. So we've been providing this free education as part of that mission and journey. In Nepal, we've been doing fellowship programs for quite a while, and we launched a program called AI Shiksha for Nepal as part of this democratizing AI effort. And we will continue to do so. And the hope is AI Shiksha for Nepal program will, through that program, we'll be able to provide AI education to many, many, many students here in Nepal.
What is the contribution of a country like Nepal in the global AI ecosystem?
It can make a lot of contribution.
That's a meaningful statement. It can make.
Yes, it can make a big contribution, a very meaningful contribution to the in the global stage of AI. And I would say that partly because of the talent here. there is a lot of talent who can be trained in AI and who can produce both services and product for the world. Services, obviously, outsourcing services and other kind of services can be done here from Nepal. But beyond that, I think the talent is so good that if we just train them a bit more and make them competitive enough for a global stage, then they will be able to build products right here in Nepal for the world. In which case you will have products built in Nepal, sold out all outside of Nepal and in Nepal. And I think that will be a global contribution. But beyond that, even for Nepal, I think there are a lot of AI products that could be built in Nepal for Nepal by Nepali engineers. And I think that will be amazing to see in the coming months, years, and the decade.
My question is, the ethical use of AI, how would you promote it and advocate it, given that your slogan, democratizing AI, is also trying to spread it across? So does that promote the ethical use of AI or the random use of AI?
So when we do provide AI education, we talk, one of the chapters and sections is about ethics, AI ethics and AI policies and so forth. And this is a very important question because AI is impacting a lot of lives and it's starting to automate a lot of things. And as you said, some people might lose jobs, some people might not be happy about this. But in total, net, I think there's a lot of good that is coming. But even then, ethics and how AI and the data privacy sort of interacts with it, and do we have right policies on data privacies? Do we have right laws mandated on face recognition? So those are some of the very important questions that we need to address. And I think many countries are starting to catch up to the tech, right? Because the tech's so speeding ahead that a government, federally, locally, are still doing a catch-up game on policies, right? And to give you an example, there was a law passed a while ago that, not in Nepal, outside of Nepal, that if you are using an AI system to filter resumes for more than 50%, that model needs to be audited. But what does model auditing, AI model auditing even means, and who's going to do it? None of that was clear, right? So that created a situation where people were confused. So I think, especially things related to AI and the ethics of AI, there needs to be more study. There needs to be more policymakers who has also studied AI, spend time on it, and figure out how all of this intersection needs to be untangled to make sure AI is impacting lives for better and not necessarily for worse.
We see a lot of misuse of AI, let's say defaming someone, infringing into privacy of someone. So could there be a system within the AI itself that could stop things like that?
If not fully stop, at least identifying misinformation, fake videos, fake pictures, those are some of the new AI systems being built. We are all, because we have had some issues where, for example, the candidates, especially when we are hiring remote engineers, the person who interviewed versus person who applied and who started working were all different. And we didn't catch fast enough until they got onboarded. And then we realized, oh, the person who's attending the meeting doesn't look anywhere like the person who interviewed, right? And we are playing that catch-up. And that playing that catch-up requires actually additional kind of AI systems, which will also help us to catch fake videos and fake interviewers, like job interviewers who are interviewing with generated faces in the interviews, and so forth. So to catch the systems, we need, it's the AI system generating the problems, but at the same time, we need AI systems to help us catch those problems as well.
And that needs greater investment, as you said, greater enforcement. For example, kids as young as, let's say, 10, 12, were exposed to AI tools, are not aware about the ethical use of AI, because the system that they are exposed with would be the cheaper one, readily available one, free to use one, which are more onto attracting users and generating money out of that. So can there be a system within the AI to control things as such?
Yeah, definitely. I think there is verification systems coming in place. And I think even the large language model systems like ChatGPT and others are coming up with a framework on how to give a safe access to kids of certain age, below 13, below 9, below 18, and so forth. So those could be built in.
Very interesting conversation. We're talking to Dr. Samir Maske, founder and CEO of Fuse Machines, adjunct associate professor at University of Colombia, teaches artificial intelligence, which could replace you and I tomorrow unless we get to learn about it, unless we learn more and more about it. We are trying to conclude this conversation now. Dr. Samir Maske, what message do you have to the aspiring Nepali entrepreneurs who want to build businesses around AI, IT, and go globally as you?
What I would say is, for aspiring entrepreneurs here, you have the talent, you have skills that are equally competitive to any other aspiring entrepreneurs around the world. And if you aspire to build an AI company, you should absolutely go for it and build it and start a dream here, but I'm pretty sure many will be able to take it to the global stage. So you should just absolutely go for it.
Final thought on the political changes that the country has seen, if any you want to make?
There's been a lot of changes over time, and some of the frustrations have boiled up to a level where it brought about this change. And this puts us at a beginning stages of being able to bring a new kind of processes, new kind of developments, and a new energy in the youth that hopefully will energize the whole government. And hopefully with the new election coming in, we'll have a new government set up that will work for all Nepali citizens for the greater good of Nepal.
Dr. Samir Maske. Dr. Maske, it was a great pleasure for NTV World Studios to have you on Declassified. Wish you more luck, and maybe you would be able to make your company more global next time we meet again. Thank you so much for your time and your thoughts.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, we had a very inspiring conversation with Dr. Samir Maske, the founder and CEO of Fuse Machines. Hope this conversation inspires all the budding entrepreneurs who would like to follow his footsteps, if not being better than what he has achieved so far. Well, do keep us following on our social media platforms, our Facebook page, our X page, our TikTok handle, and also on our website, www.ntvworldnepal.com. Until next time, from this episode of Declassified, bye-bye.
It is no more the remote far west, but the wonderful west. Nine districts are in the far west province, from the low-lying Tarai to the heightening mountains. Climatically, the province has all tropical weather conditions prevailing in Nepal. This makes the province a paradise for tourists of all interests. Khaptad, Badimalika, Api and Saipal mountains, Surmi and Ghodagodi lakes, Ramarosan area, Dodara Chandani, Sukla Fata Wildlife Reserve, Tikapur Botanical Garden, Amargari Fort. Dhangadi, the province headquarters, is the gateway to the state. The business hub of the far west region, Dhangadi, is becoming well equipped for political, trade and business infrastructures and other human resources. The far west region of Nepal is blessed with natural beauty. Any traveler is attracted by this epitome of beauty and a gift of Mother Nature. In addition to the natural beauty of the region, you can see the human civilizations rich in culture and arts throughout the province. The people of this region enjoy their unique lifestyle identified by their culture, language and religion. The far west region has the wealth of nature, culture and religious uniqueness to offer to every traveler. Kaptard. The Kaptard National Park, spreading across 4 districts of Doti, Acham, Bajang and Bajura of the far west province, is situated at an altitude of 3,000 meters above the sea level. The natural splendor and breathtaking views revealing geography's diversity is a sight to remember for every nature lover. This is the land of penance where Kaptard Baba lived for 50 years in his pursuit of knowledge and enlightenment. There are 22 Pathans and the famous Triveni temple in Kaptard. The natural splendor of Kaptard area is attracting many domestic and foreign tourists by the day. Trekking in the Kaptard region is a lifetime experience, especially with the numerous species of birds, wildlife, flora and fauna in the numerous trails. Kaptard is the meeting point of 4 districts, Doti, Acham, Bazang and Basura. A chaste land of Kaptard Baba, an important place for religious tourism. Special prayers and worship are offered in the place during the famous Dasara fair. Some of the major attractions in the region. Badi Malika. Situated 4,200 meters above the sea level, Badi Malika is a famous religious site in remote Bajura district of the far west province. The annual fair on the occasion of Annapurna draws thousands of devotees at the Badi Malika temple. lush green meadows, pure waterfalls, and whistling ravines flowing downstream are the major attractions of the natural wonder. Thousands of domestic and foreign tourists flock the temple every year during the fair and other times as well. Badi Malika is popular among people in the far west and Karnali provinces. However, few people from Kathmandu and Gadwal of India also visit this site for pilgrimage. The famous pilgrimage site in Bajura district of Far West province, Badi Malika. There is a popular belief that offering worship to deity Badi Malika fulfills one's wishes. Large fair takes place every year on Janai Purnima. The Badi Malika temple on top of a hill. The 22 patans, various species of flowers, panoramic view of the mountain range. Only a few small tea shops are seen as amenities in this area. One can reach Badi Malika by taking a flight from Nepalganj to Kolti airport of Bajura. Day-long drive from Kolti followed by 3 days of walk. Suklafata National Park is a world-famous destination for those interested in wildlife. The main attraction of the park is the large grassy meadows where the bara singers are seen in big numbers. The flock in the park is said to be the largest in the world. The park is home to 46 mammals, including endangered Bengal tiger, elephant, and anjir, and over 423 species of birds. The national park offers elephant ride and jungle safari to tourists as major recreational activities. The national park along Nepal-India border in Kanchanpur district is famous for watching wild elephants and barasingha, a heaven for wildlife enthusiasts. The attractions: grassy meadows, swamps and wetlands. Ramaroshan, located in Acham district of Nepal at an altitude of 2500 meters above the sea level. Ramaroshan is a jewel for tourists in the Far West province. A place having 18 patch of meadows, locally known as Patans, is a major tourism destination. The beautiful Ramaroshan Lake is the major attraction for tourists here. This area is the only habitat of national bird of Nepal, Darfi, or the Lophophorus. The rhododendron forest along the trails leading to the lake rejuvenates every traveler. Amargadi Fort. Amargadi Fort is a historic castle in Amargadi municipality of Dalit. This fort is an important site of historical, archaeological, political, religious, social and cultural aspects. The fort that witnessed the bravery of Kaji Amar Singh Thapa in the unification campaign of Nepal is strategically located at the top of a hill in the district headquarters of Dalit. General Thapa established his administrative headquarters in the fort itself during the unification campaign. This is an interesting site for researchers and archaeological explorers. Mostly domestic and Indian tourists visit this fort. The Far West province has dozens of existing and new tourism destinations. From a breathtaking mountain range to famous temples, the province has tourism destinations for all types of travelers to engage them for even a month. As many tourism destinations are in Far West province, so is the potential of the province. Most of the tourists in the province come for travel and research. However, lack of proper infrastructures discourage many enthusiasts. The Far West province has not been able to welcome desired number of tourists in the absence of the amenities. The number of foreign tourists entering Nepal via custom points in the Far West province has seen some increment of late. But most of them hardly spend a day or two there. After entering Nepal from Kailali or Kanchanpur, most of the tourists head towards the east for capital Kathmandu or Pokhara or some other destinations. After the centralized system of governance changed to federalism, the possibilities of development has increased with the full authority now in local levels. One immediate such possibility is the trekking trail. If only the 5 proposed tourism corridors, Khakrola, Tikapur, Karnali, Badimalika, Khutia, Bipinagar, Tel Lake, Khaptad, Dhangadi, Budar, Saipal, Mahakali River and Jhulaghat, Mursa can be developed as per provincial government's plan. It could contribute to the national mission of prosperity through tourism. Many other destinations can be developed into touristic sites to welcome domestic as well as foreign tourists. The hardest geography might be discouraging, but the nature has blessed the region with glory. This is why tourism can be the base for prosperity for Far West province. It is no more the remote Far West, but the wonderful West.
The Israel Defense Forces said it killed 3 Hezbollah fighters during operations in southern Lebanon, targeting what it described as imminent threats. The military reported additional airstrikes on Hezbollah infrastructure, including sites north of the Yellow Line, as part of a broader campaign to dismantle the group's capabilities. 1 Israeli soldier was also lightly wounded during the shooting and evacuated for treatment. Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem rejected any direct negotiations with Israel, reaffirming continued resistance. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned that Hezbollah's actions are undermining the ceasefire and said Israel would continue to respond forcefully. A Seoul High Court has increased the prison sentence of former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol to 7 years on appeal for obstruction of arrest. The court overturned a lower ruling that had sentenced him to 5 years, citing abuse of power and interference with official duties. Judges found that Yoon used presidential security forces to block lawful arrest attempts and hinder anti-corruption investigators. His legal team said it will appeal the decision to the Supreme Court of South Korea. Yoon, who was previously impeached and removed from office, also faces a separate life sentence linked to insurrection charges. In Gaza City, mourners gathered for funeral prayers after an Israeli airstrike struck a vehicle and killed 4 people. The incident adds to ongoing violence in the wider conflict involving Israel and armed groups in the Gaza Strip. Residents said the strike caused civilian casualties, with Ibrahim al-Zubaydi describing it as part of a pattern of attacks that do not distinguish between civilians and combatants. The situation comes amid continuing hostilities in the region, where airstrikes and ground operations have caused repeated loss of life. The Gaza Strip, a densely populated territory, has seen repeated escalations of violence in recent months.
The question is, as on the order paper, as many of that opinion say aye. Aye! Of the contrary, no. No! Division, play the lobby.
Members of the UK Parliament have voted against referring Prime Minister Keir Starmer to a parliamentary committee over allegations that he misled MPs regarding the appointment of a US ambassador linked to the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The dispute centers on the controversial appointment of former envoy Peter Mandelson, which has sparked months of political pressure on Starmer's government. Opposition figures had called for an inquiry, arguing the process raised questions about transparency and accountability in ministerial appointments. However, MPs voted against escalating the issue to a formal standards investigation committee. The controversy continued to fuel criticism of the Labour government, with some opponents calling for Starmer's resignation while it seeks to maintain political stability. Former French President Nicolas Sarkozy has arrived at the Paris Court of Appeal for questioning in his appeals trial over alleged Libyan financing of his 2007 campaign. The case centers on 2 documents written by his former aide Claude Gouant, which reportedly signal a split in the defense strategy. Prosecutors are examining whether the documents support claims that funds from Libya were used in Sarkozy's presidential bid. The trial is part of a long-running investigation into alleged illegal campaign financing. Sarkozy has consistently denied any wrongdoing. Images released by the French armed forces show Dassault Rafale aircraft intercepting Shahed drone targets in the Middle East. The footage captures cockpit views and aerial shots of the jets engaging drones during defensive missions in the Gulf region. France says it has increased air operations to protect partner countries facing attacks linked to Iran. The operations highlight France's ongoing military role in regional air defense efforts. Pete Hegseth is set to testify before the U.S. Congress on the ongoing Middle East war as efforts to reach peace with Iran remain stalled. The conflict has intensified after Iran blockaded the Strait of Hormuz, disrupting global oil and gas flows and shaking markets. Donald Trump said Iran had been militarily defeated, though Tehran insists the war is not over and warns it still has options. Diplomatic efforts, including proposals involving easing the blockade and sanctions, have yet to produce a breakthrough. Meanwhile, fighting continues across the region, including tensions between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. International organizations, including the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the World Food Programme, and UNICEF, have warned that 7.8 million people in South Sudan will face acute food insecurity between April and July 2026. The report, based on the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification System, says this represents about 56% of the country's population and is among the worst levels globally. It estimates that over 73,000 people are already in the most severe catastrophe phase of hunger, a sharp rise from previous assessments. Millions more are classified in emergency and crisis levels of food insecurity, reflecting a widespread humanitarian strain. The crisis is being driven by conflict, displacement, flooding, economic decline, and poor agricultural output. King Charles III is on a state visit to the United States, where he met President Donald Trump at the White House for high-level talks aimed at strengthening UK-US relations. The visit featured formal ceremonies, symbolic exchanges, and discussions on diplomatic and global cooperation. Charles also addressed the US Congress, marking a notable moment in the state visit and emphasizing the importance of the long-standing alliance between the two countries. Pause SOT.
The alliance that our two nations have built over the centuries, and for which we are profoundly grateful to the American people, is truly unique. So as we look toward the next 250 years, we must also reflect on our shared responsibility to safeguard nature, our most precious and irreplaceable asset. Our generation must decide how to address the collapse of critical natural systems, which threatens far more than the harmony and essential diversity of nature. We ignore at our peril the fact that these natural systems, in other words, nature's own economy, provide the foundation for our prosperity and our national security.
He later attended a state dinner hosted by Trump, where both leaders exchanged cordial remarks. The visit has been described as a major diplomatic engagement, highlighting continued efforts to reinforce ties between London and Washington. The European Union has found that Meta is failing to stop children under 13 from accessing Facebook and Instagram, exposing them to harmful content. EU Tech Chief Henna Virkkunen said preliminary findings show Meta has weak measures to enforce its own age restrictions. The investigation conducted under the Digital Services Act revealed that children can easily bypass safeguards by entering false birth dates. Regulators warned that Meta could face fines of up to 6% of its global annual revenue if the violations are confirmed. Meta has disputed the findings, stating it has systems in place to detect and remove underage users while continuing discussions with the EU.
Today, the Commission has preliminarily found Instagram and Facebook in breach of DSA for failing to prevent minors under the age of 13 from accessing their services. As we know, Meta's own terms and rules indicate that Instagram and Facebook, they are not meant for minors who are under 13 years old. Yet our preliminary findings show that Meta is doing very little to prevent children below this age from accessing these platforms.
A laundry service in Phu Phuc is going viral for offering spa-like cleaning for stuffed toys and plushies, restoring worn-out items like teddy bears and Pikachu dolls. The business, Cleaning Jon Marusson, has attracted customers from around the world seeking high-end care for sentimental toys. Cleaning engineer Masakazu Shimura says each plushie is carefully hand-washed with attention to its fabric and condition. He explained that these items often carry deep emotional value, with owners treating them as part of the family. The service has grown in popularity as people look for gentle, specialized cleaning for treasured keepsakes. The ancient pyramid site of Bajrawiya on Sudan's island of Meroe contains around 140 burial pyramids from the Kingdom of Kush's Meroitic period. Many of the structures have been damaged over time, first by 19th century looting and later by centuries of natural erosion. Today, the site is affected by the ongoing war between Sudan's army and the Rapid Support Forces (RSF, which has further endangered its preservation. Despite the instability, a lone caretaker who comes from a family of traditional groundkeepers continues to watch over the ruins. He says he hopes to remain with the pyramids and never leave them, reflecting deep personal and cultural ties to the heritage site. In Popayan, indigenous communities, civil society groups and local residents marched against escalating violence in the region of Colombia. The protest was triggered by a recent bomb attack that killed 21 civilians, one of the deadliest incidents against civilians in decades, raising fears ahead of upcoming elections. The demonstrations reflect long-standing insecurity in rural and conflict-affected areas where armed groups and criminal networks remain active despite peace efforts. Colombia has a history of internal armed conflict involving state forces, guerrilla groups, and paramilitary organizations, which has particularly impacted indigenous and rural populations. Protesters called for stronger government protection and accountability as political tensions rise in the pre-election period. FIFA has increased total World Cup cash distributions to nearly $900 million, citing rising costs for participating teams ahead of the tournament. The governing body also announced new rules for the World Cup starting June 11 in Mexico City, including red cards for players who cover their mouths during confrontations as part of an anti-racism initiative. Pause.
The revenues are above expectations, and this allows us to do two things. One is, of course, to increase our investments in football development, and the other one is the decision that we took today, which is increasing the preparation money, the contributions for the member associations, and we did it for over 100 million, 112 million more, which will be at the disposal of our member associations to help them prepare for the tournament, participate in the tournament in the best possible conditions. So we are now at almost 900 million all in all for the participating 48 countries.
नमो हिरण्यबाहवे हिरण्यवर्णाय हिरण्यरूपाय हिरण्यपतये अम्बिकापतये उमापतये पशुपतये नमो नमः
mama. The golden light that starts to glow, the quiet peace that helps you grow. This power comes from deep inside, a rising, never-ending tide. This is me, this is my soul. Ma, make my spirit whole.
Not only the female perspective as a man, हामी आफैले चाहिँ आफ्नो त्यो एउटा चाहिँ त्यो एउटा चाहिँ म भन्ने शक्ति एउटा चाहिँ हामीले आफैले बुझेर त्यो मनन गरेर चाहिँ काम गर्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ.
Her works more says about the inner emotions and psychological world of the woman through a lot of imagery and a symbol like a third eye.
Pain has to support art, otherwise art is not seen and known by others.
It feels like women are the universe and they are the ones who creates, and without them this universe is empty.
Look inside ourselves, and look inside our own id to see what we are and how we navigate in the world.
नयाँ palette पनि आएको छ उहाँको, very light biscuit color जस्तैमा with very minimalistic lines.
Ma has always been so close. Like this exhibition is also like a reflection for me.
मनको दियोलाई चाहिँ बालिराख्नुपर्छ.
Darbar Marg. It is the pulse of our city, loud, fast, and constantly moving. But just a few steps away, behind these doors at 108 Art Gallery, the world changes. The noise of the street fades into a profound golden silence. For over 3 decades, Irina Tamrakar has been a defining voice in Nepali contemporary art. Known globally for her Third Eye series, she now pivots inward. Welcome to Creative Forum. Today we explore Ma, myself, that me within us.
यो सोलो आउनुभन्दा पहिला म निकै वर्ष चाहिँ धेरै वर्ष थर्ड आई सिरिजमा काम गरेको थिएँ. थर्ड आईमा चाहिँ कलरहरू पनि डिफ्रेन्ट थियो, अलिकति पावरमा वुमेन्स पावर भनेर हामी महिलाहरूको पावर, यङ केटीहरूको पावर, त्यही हिसाबले चाहिँ मैले धेरैवटा पावरको हिसाबले चाहिँ शक्ति चाहियो क्या हामी महिलालाई, होइन. त्यही हिसाबले शक्तिको आधारमा मैले रातो कलरहरू चाहिँ हामी नेपाली कल्चर हिसाबले पनि शक्ति नै हो, टिकाहरू लाउँछौँ. त्यो कन्सेप्टमा धेरै वर्ष काम गरिसकेपछि तेस्रो नेत्र हामी महिलालाई चाहिन्छ क्या, होइन. हामी एवेर हुनुपर्छ, समाजमा हामी फाइट गर्नुपर्छ, समाजमा हामी आफ्नो हिसाबले अघि बढ्न सक्नुपर्छ भन्ने कन्सेप्टले म अघि बढेको थिएँ. मैले त्यो कन्सेप्टमा पेन्टिङ गरेँ. अनि अहिले आएर चाहिँ थर्ड आईभित्र पनि मलाई अब अझ खोजी गर्न मन लाग्यो, होइन. म भनेर चाहिँ फिल आइसकेपछि मैले म किन नराख्ने अब यसमा थर्ड आईको बिचमा भनेर. अनि देवनागरीलाई मलाई चाहिँ होइन कि अलिकति रजना लिपि, नेपाल प्रचलित लिपि, त्यसलाई चाहिँ मको रूपमा त्यति फरक त छैन, तर अलिअलि फरकको हिसाबले चाहिँ म राखेको हो.
Well, I'm very impressed. That way I'm quite familiar with the art of Edina. She's been long familiar to me, as an artist. Now, since she was struggling to establish herself, I knew her. Now, she is well established now. I feel very proud on her progress. In modern version of art, what is needed to explore, continually explore more and more. It must speak your mind. So that's what she's been doing for a long time. Whereas others do choose different motives and different kinds of things for their expression, visual expression, or smooth your impulses. But unlike others, Arena has chosen only one particular theme, one motive for a long time. That is a woman face. Maybe she's trying to see herself in a mirror. And this is very unique. Let me tell you very frankly, this is very unique. Now I thought, how could one explore on one particular motive for a long, long time? But she did well. So what we need in art is to continually express, to explore, then and get a diversity out of it. But she did it, and she's genuinely an artist.
I feel like when I see the works, I feel like her works more says about the inner emotions and psychological world of the woman through a lot of imagery and a symbol like a third eye, and also through more about her very personal visual language. So I do see these things, and it's more about woman's resilience that I see in her works.
This transition isn't just thematic, it's a shift in energy.
If you dive deeply on her works, you'll notice the dots and the aesthetic parts of her work and the colors she plays with, along with the motifs of women. They all are very attractive. At the same time, she gives the message that women are powerful, women have the courage, women have the strength to do whatever they need to do. And moreover, she focuses on the feminine aspect as a universe. Like if you focus on a painting, there are so many dots, right? So those each, if you stand still and look at her work for some time, you will feel those dots are the universe. And the female she paints on the canvas, it feels like women are the universe and they are the ones who creates, and without them this universe is empty.
हेर्दाखेरि लुक्स बबल तर त्यो लाइट हो के हामीले लाइटलाई परको लाइटलाई हेर्यो भने अलि ब्लड हुन्छ नि धमिलो किसिमले शार्प देखिन्न त्यो लाइटको सिम्बल चाहिँ त्यही हो अनि किन यसरी भयो भन्दाखेरि मलाई देखाउनु छ कि हामी कोही पनि सबैजनाले चाहिँ मनको दियोलाई चाहिँ बालिराख्नुपर्छ हैन मनमा नदेखिने बत्ती त देखिन्न मनको बत्ती त्यसमा धागो पनि देखिन्न तेल पनि देखिन्न त्यसैले हामीले चाहिँ के गर्नुपर्छ भन्दा मनको दियो बालिराख्नलाई हामीले तेल थपिरहनु पर्यो धागो चाहिँ थपिरहनु पर्यो सारिरहनु पर्यो भन्ने कन्सेप्टले चाहिँ अब त्यो चीजलाई कसरी देखाउने हैन त्यो कन्सेप्टले चाहिँ मैले अनि त्यो बत्तीलाई सिम्बोलिक गरेर त्यो बत्ती भनेको मनको बत्ती हो है आँखा चिम्लिरहेछ नि हैन खोलि पनि रहेछ त्यो मनको बत्ती चाहिँ यसरी बत्ती भन्ने देखाउन खोजेको मेरो कन्सेप्टमा चाहिँ अब हरेक किसिमबाट त्यो तल माथि तल हैन उठेको जस्तो बबल कलरफुल बबल जस्तो त्यो चाहिँ त्यसरी देखाउन खोजे अब ठ्याक्कै देखायो भने फेरि पेन्टिङमा टेक्निकली नमिल्न सक्छ नि त कसरी उज्यालो बनाउने भन्ने कुरा हुन्छ अनि यो चाहिँ अलिकति फ्यान्टेसीसँग पनि कनेक्टेड गरिकन
One painting that really struck me was a painting of Mother Earth, where Arena ji has portrayed Mother Earth in a form of a Nepali lady with the elements of earth, like fish, animals, forest, but we cannot see the actual eyes or the features of human feature, but it still gives the vibe of the earthy feeling that the painting is trying to show. So that is, I think, very interesting of Erina ji to actually portray Mother Earth in form of her own style.
Erinako Silhouettes in Time भन्ने exhibition भएको थियो Siddhartha Art Gallery मा. It was a very successful show. This face that you see in this exhibition, त्यो चाहिँ नि त्यति समयको बेला चाहिँ नि first time emerge गरेको हो. The use of gold to display the richness of our heritage, त्यो palette पनि त्यति बेला नि आएको हो. र त्यसपछिको exhibitionले मलाई लाग्छ एरिना कोरिया जान पनि सेलेक्ट भएको थियो. अहिले चाहिँ नि नयाँ प्यालेट पनि आएको छ उहाँको, भेरी लाइट बिस्किट कलर जस्तैमा विथ भेरी मिनिमलिस्टिक लाइन्स. कुनै चाहिँ नि तपाईँले यहाँ देख्नुहुन्छ इन अ भेरी लिनियर. त्यो चाहिँ नि मेरो लागि चाहिँ नि एउटा नयाँ डेभलपमेन्ट हो. एन्ड आई होप एरिना कन्टिन्युज विथ दिस एब्स्ट्र्याक्ट लिनियर प्रोसेस जुन अहिले हामीले देखिरहेछौँ काममा. त्यसको चाहिँ नि लार्जर स्केलमा पनि हुन सक्छ. I look forward to seeing those works too.
I think most of the thing that I praise about the exhibition here is not only this exhibition, but Erina Didi's the way she plays with the color is fabulous, and the way she brings out that inner emotions of the female, that is also tremendous. So these are the things I really get inspired by her works. And also not only about the work, but as an artist, the dedication, the sincerity, the passion and the humility I really admired of her.
So more, it's a ego, right, or id. So I think when the way we navigate the world is by measuring with our own body, with our own sense of self, right? So that sense of self, that identity is ma, right? So that's how we express I in English or ma in Nepali. But when an individual say ma, that might be in relationship to what is happening at the immediate movement. But when an artist is talking, for example, Erina's work, I think she's talking more than just the sense of herself. She might be speaking to the nature of womanhood and the women's roles in the society. So it's when I look at this work, I think I see it as a collective ma, as a 50% of the population in the society, not just Erina.
This is me, this is my soul, ma, make my spirit whole.
अहिलेको रिसेन्ट यो जुन म सिरिजमा चाहिँ नि मलाई लाग्छ इट्स अबाउट हर एउटा एक्सप्रेसन हो हैन. एउटा फिमेल फर्म छ, सो फिमेल क्यारेक्टर. त्यसमा पनि मोर लाइक मोर फोकस अन द फेसेस हैन, फिमेल फेसेसहरू छ. अनि त्यसमा पनि अलिकति एउटा एग्रेसिभ फिलिङ्सहरू छ यसपालि चाहिँ नि. सो एग्रेसिभ इन अ सेन्स लाइक अहिलेको जुन अहिले समाजमा जुन घटिरहेको घटनाहरू छ त्यसैलाई अलिकति बेस लिएर चाहिँ नि एरिनाले काम गरेको छ यसपालि चाहिँ नि. सो स्पेसली अब भन्नुपर्दा म सिरिज इज बेस्ड अन हर ओन एक्सप्रेसन, ओन लाइक आइडेन्टिटी हैन, त्यसमा बेस भएर काम गरिरहेछ. सो सियास एक्सप्लोर कलरमा पनि अलिकति डार्कनेस अफ कलर चाहिँ युज गर्नुभएको छ यो म सिरिजमा. सो प्रायः चाहिँ नि कलर्सहरू चाहिँ नि ग्रे, ब्ल्याक, त्यसमा पनि फेरि गोल्डन कलर चाहिँ मिक्स गर्नुभएको छ. द्याट्स अ भेरी स्ट्रङ कलर चाहिँ मलाई लाग्छ.
As everybody knows, running a gallery is a very complex and financially challenging thing to do. But still, like my history, my family history, we've always been into art. For like now, regarding my own business, it's been running for more than 40 to 50 years and still running. So this is a small diversification from being an art shop and then to an art gallery. So it's two different streams, but the objective is still one: promoting Nepalese art. It's still a challenge that we to get proper quality buyers, especially in the Nepalese market. And it's a very niche market in Nepal. We've got very handful of people who actually are investing in art. So yeah, that's one of the major problems, because that's a problem for the lack of buyers that we have in Nepal. Giving artists the space that they require to show their artwork. And it's not just one specific artwork that we are promoting. So here in 108, we give a platform to all the different art and artists. So this is a major step that we as a gallery are taking. And we are also trying to promote artist merchandise, where the buyer can actually have the essence of the original artwork, but in a cheaper form, whether it be prints. Like we've tried a couple of things like making puzzles out of the original artwork, where we pay good royalty to the artist. And then gallery, we've got our certain commission, and then the buyer also gets a genuine piece in return.
The only thing that will help to sustain one in this creative field of the creative world is continuation. You have to do continuously. You shouldn't be stopping, right? To take rest is okay, but completely shut down is not okay. So that's the key point: continuation, the passion for it, and no matter what there is, we all are struggling in our own ways. And if you are a woman, then you have to struggle twice, right? So continuation is the key for sustaining in this creative scenario. Yeah.
Any creative field is very demanding, and a lot of time the investment in return is not immediate. So that's something I think both the parents and students or a young generation would have to think about. And they have to have a plan to support their creative practice until the creative practice can support them. And then look for opportunities not just in Nepal and also outside. Build network, be professional. When they commit to something, they should commit to that and show up, right? So I think the being professional and understanding and having a plan, not just one plan, but the plan one, plan A, plan B, plan C, would be helpful for them. But I think there are a lot more opportunity nowadays, and I wouldn't necessarily be pessimistic about it. So, but they have to be clear about what their goals are.
Your contemporary समकालीन work is like this, हैन? किनभने हामीले एउटा बनाउँछौँ, तपाईले अर्कै फिल गर्नुहुन्छ, अर्को व्यक्तिले अर्कै गर्नुहुन्छ। जसले हेर्नुहुन्छ उहाँहरूले आफ्नै किसिमले मनन गर्न पाउनु, यो नै विशेष हो, स्पेशलिटी भन्छ नि। हामी सबैले आफूलाई राम्रोसँग आफूभित्र म भेटेको मलाई एकचोटि मनन गरिकन राम्रोसित आफूलाई चिन्नु भयो भने, चिन्न पायो भने, मेरै पेन्टिङको मेरै मबाट तपाईले पनि आफूलाई खोज्न देख्नुभयो भने, मेरो त्यसमा चाहिँ तपाईले सोच्नु भयो भने मैले बनाएको मसँग कनेक्ट हुनुभयो जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ, कनेक्ट हुनुहुन्छ कि जस्तो नि मलाई लाग्छ, र आफूलाई राम्रोसँग सजिलो किसिमबाट अघि बढ्न सक्छ जिन्दगीमा भन्ने जस्तो लाग्छ। त्यही खोज्नुहोस् भन्न चाहन्छु।
This was Erina Tamrakar's More Myself. We hope you were near to finding that more in you from today's episode of Creative Forum.
The golden light that starts to glow, the quiet peace that helps you grow. This power comes from deep inside, a rising, never-ending tide. This is me, this is my soul, my
Annapurna Circuit Trek features in world's 10 best destinations and adventures. The trekking circuit is the choice of many trekkers as it offers both adventure along with mesmerizing view of mountain ranges. Arguably the best trekking circuit in the world, travelers get up close with dozens of mountains including the Annapurna, Dhaulagiri, Nilgiri. Annapurna circuit ideally is a 14-day trek. The circuit passes through Lamjung, Manang, Mustang and Myagdi district, including Thorangla Pass as the highest point. Places including Thampus, Ghandruk and Poon Hill are part of this trekking circuit. The revered Muktinath shrine is also part of the circuit. Only foreigners were seen in this circuit few years back, but now domestic tourists are also flocking the area. If you are looking for a lifetime trekking experience, then pack your bags for Annapurna trekking circuit. Mardi Base Camp Trek, also part of the Annapurna circuit, is another alternative route for trekkers who can't afford time. Trekkers can be up close with mountains including the Annapurna Range, Dhaulagiri, Machapuchre and Manasalu in this circuit. This 7-day circuit is attracting many trekkers for obvious reasons.
Actually, when I was 16, back in 2015, I was at a music festival. This music is called bluegrass that I play, and I was at this bluegrass festival, and this person named Tara Linhart. She is amazing. You can talk to her more, but she had a fantastic project called the Mountain Music Project. And I heard this project of Nepali musicians and bluegrass musicians coming together and fusing the music. And I thought it was really, really cool to see this cross-cultural collaboration. But I really just wanted to get back to music. And so I reached out to Tara. I had an opportunity to get some funding. And I emailed her randomly. She was in Bhutan at the time. And I said, hey, I want to set up a music project in Nepal. Can you connect me with some of your buddies? And she got on a WhatsApp call and started giving me the lowdown of how awesome it was. One of the people she introduced me to was actually Prince's father, Sham Nepali. And we met in New Hampshire. And we jammed together and had a great time. And he said, oh, when you get to Nepal, you have to meet my son. He's so great. He'll play music, you'll play music together. I was like, yeah, whatever, okay. Like, every dad is gonna say that about their son. Like, is it gonna be great? Well, then 3 months later, I showed up in Nepal, and I had only brought a mandolin, and I wanted a guitar to write some songs on. So I called up Shamdai, and I said, hey, can I borrow a guitar? He said, yes, come meet my son. And so I met Prince in Kirtipur, and we started playing that day. And then we sat down and we started playing, and it was just like magic. It was just sort of this instant connection. That was pretty special and crazy to me that we grew up on opposite sides of the world, and there are American musicians who I don't vibe with. We don't have a connection, but me and Prince, it was just an instant connection. And so we started jamming together.
It's a love song that my great-grandfather composed, and we're gonna fuse with another bluegrass love song. Sani sani ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी चस्मे दाजु छिल्के मिल्के जुल्फी मात्र कोर्ने चस्मे दाजु झिल्के मिल्के जुल्फी मात्र कोर्ने दारी जुङ्गा दन्त देखाइ मेरो मन चोर्ने दारी जुङ्गा दन्त देखाइ मेरो मन चोर्ने नजिस्काउन हे परुलाई हाय शिवर काकी छोरीलाई नजिस्काउन हे परुलाई हाय शिवर काकी छोरीलाई सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी जन्म दिने भगवान त हुर्काइदिने आमा जन्म दिने भगवान त हुर्काइदिने आमा कसले हेर यति राम्रो पहिराइदियो जमा कसले हेर यति राम्रो पहिराइदियो जमा सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी सानी सानी ए झिल्के नानी कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल कोरेकी हाय हाय कति राम्रो कपाल
Coastal Plains. In the state of North Dakota, I found my Nellie Kane. Found my Nellie Kane. Well, she was living in a lonely cabin with a son by another man. 5 years she had waited for him as long as a woman can. As long as a woman can. And I don't know what changed my mind, but then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. She hired me at work that day to help her till the lands. In the afternoon we planted seeds, in the evening we held hands. In the evening we held hands. And her blue eyes told me everything that a man could want to know. It was then I realized how I'd never go, how I'd never go. And I don't know what changed my mind, till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. Weeds have grown up tall. I became a father to him, and she became my all. She became my all. And I don't know what changed my mind, till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. No, I don't know what changed my mind, till then I was a rambling kind of love I can't explain that I had for Nellie Kane. Well, first of all, I just fell in love with Nepali culture. I love momos, I love dal bhat, I love it all. I love this beautiful country. I think our message to the world, one of them is that we want to show more people the beautifulness of Nepal. I think that from my perspective, I love Nepali folk music, but in this country, sometimes people haven't valued it. They've looked to the West for other influences. And so one of our goals is to bring up Nepali folk and fusing it. We're not just doing pure folk music, but to show that this is a vibrant, evolving history and tradition that is still relevant today. And then I also think to people abroad, and especially to Nepalis, I want to show them that they can take their instruments and their culture and they can bring it to the world, and that it's so amazing. I mean, everyone who I know that maybe they don't know so much about Nepal, maybe the only thing they know is that Mount Everest is there. But then once they try a momo, once they hear some music, then they love it. And so we want to just share this music with more people and share the cross-cultural collaboration. I know I've been saying this for a couple of years now, but because We recorded an EP for one day, and then I've been gone from Nepal for the last year, and the hard drive just sat, and no one did anything with the files yet. So we finally got the files going, and we are finally working on our debut EP that will feature a lot of these songs, including the next one, which is one I wrote a couple of years ago. Cause all day I chug way after work and try to shove down all of the hurt. But sometimes at the end, does it fit on the page? And my eyes just run a glaze.
'Cause when the night birds come, it's when I lose my mind. No, I can't bear this endless ticking of time.
Well, right now we really want to go abroad, and in particular my dream is to bring the band to the US, to these festivals that I grew up going to, because I think it's so cool. I love playing the music that I grew up with, but with tabla on it, and the beat is dropping. It's so awesome. But right now we've been having a little bit of trouble figuring out with the visas, especially right now. So we're working on that. And then also being abroad. It's very difficult when I've moved back to the US recently, and so when we're far away, it's hard we can't make music in the same way, but it also means that the times when we are together, I've been back for a month, are just extra special because we get to make music together.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Newar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Local wind system spreads across Nepal, damages crops in Nyagdi, among others. Disaster Authority urges caution. Government begins bi-monthly salary payment system for employees. Finance Minister says 15-day pay will boost economic activity. Nepal's opposition parties urge President to block government ordinances. Leaders accuse government of bypassing parliament. Private schools accused of charging excessive fees despite government rules. Parents allege schools taking fees under various pretexts. 2 men stabbed in London as police declared terror attack. Suspect arrested after attempting to attack officers. And Nepal suffers 102-run defeat to Oman in ICC Cricket World Cup League 2. Rain-interrupted chase ends under DLS method. Good evening, I am Sarah Sapsanamarai and this is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Western winds that began this afternoon from Sudur Paschim province have now affected most parts of Nepal, bringing strong storms, rain, hail and lightning. In Magdi, strong winds blew off the roof of a classroom building at Janakalyan Secondary School in Dhaulagiri. while hailstorms damaged crops in Sikha and Khar areas of Annapurna rural municipality. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority has urged people across Koshi, Madhesh, Bagmati, Lumbini and Sudur Pashchim provinces to remain alert, warning of high-speed winds from 4 p.m. today until 7 a.m. tomorrow. Meanwhile, in just the past 15 days, 34 people have lost their lives and 139 have been injured in 616 disaster-related incidents across the country. Authorities are advising people to stay indoors during storms and take necessary precautions. We'll look at more details of the weather in our cover story. Now, the government has started a new system to pay salaries to civil servants every 15 days. According to the Ministry of Finance, the system has been launched today as a pilot project. Finance Minister Swarn Mogle formally inaugurated the system today. The minister expressed confidence that paying salaries every 15 days would help keep the economy more dynamic. The minister initiated the process by entering salary details of employees from the Office of the Financial Comptroller General and sending payment orders through the computerized government accounting system to the Treasury and Accounts Controller Office. Under this system, employees of the Ministry of Finance have received their first half-month salary for the Nepali month of Baishakh. Opposition parties in Nepal have called on President Ramchandra Paul not to endorse a series of ordinances issued by the government, arguing that they bypass parliamentary procedure and undermine democratic norms. The demand was made following a meeting held at the Parliamentary Party Office of Nepali Congress in Singhdarbar. The meeting was convened at the initiative of Nepali Congress and brought together leaders from multiple opposition parties. Opposition leaders accused the government of circumventing Parliament by repeatedly issuing ordinances, despite having already summoned and then postponed a parliamentary session. They described the move as an attempt to sidestep the legislature and urged the president to reject the ordinances. They also called on the government to withdraw the ordinances and immediately reconvene Parliament for proper legislative debate and approval. The meeting was attended by leaders and chief whips from several parties, including Nepali Congress, CPI-NUML, NCP and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party. Complaints are rising across Nepal over high fees charged by private schools, despite government standards meant to regulate them. Parents say schools continue to collect annual, monthly and extra charges under different headings, bypassing rules that limit admissions and annual fees. According to regulations, schools can only charge a one-time admission fee equal to 1 month's fee and an annual fee of up to 2 months' tuition. However, parents claim these rules are not being followed in practice. The Center for Education and Human Resource Development says it receives over 40 complaints daily. While some local governments have enforced standards, most schools are accused of increasing fees arbitrarily with limited monitoring from authorities. More on this in our issue of the day later in the bulletin. Now, 2 Jewish men were stabbed and injured in a street attack in Golders Green, North London on Wednesday, in what police have declared a terrorist incident. The victims, aged their 30s and 70s, were hospitalized with knife wounds and are reported to be in stable condition. The Metropolitan Police arrested a 45-year-old man on suspicion of attempted murder. The suspect also attempted to stab police officers before being subdued with a taser. Police said they are in fact working with security services and are investigating whether the attack deliberately targeted the Jewish community. Authorities are also examining possible links to recent arson attacks on synagogues and other Jewish sites in London. According to the community security group Shomrim, the suspect was seen running along Golders Green Road armed with a knife and attempting to attack members of the public before being detained. Officials say the suspect has a history of serious violence and mental health issues. Investigations are ongoing to establish further details about his background. Nepal suffered a 102-run defeat by Oman under the Duckworth-Lewis Stern method in the ICC Cricket World Cup League 2 match played at TU Cricket Ground in Kirtipur. Chasing a target of 306 runs, Nepal were struggling at 155 for the loss of 7 in 36 overs when rain interrupted play. The match could not resume beyond the 37th over, and the DLS method was applied, resulting in a heavy defeat for the home side. Earlier, Oman posted a strong total of 305 for the loss of 8 in their 50 overs after opting to bat first. Captain Jatinder Singh led the innings with a brilliant century, scoring 130. For Nepal, Sompal Kamni claimed 4 wickets, while Sandeep Lamichhane and Deepinder Singh Airi picked up 2 wickets each. In response, Nepal lost early momentum despite a fighting 60 from Deepinder Singh Airi and 28 from Bhim Sarki. No other batter was able to make a significant contribution as wickets fell regularly. With this result, Oman moved to 3rd place in the standings with 29 points from 25 games. Nepal remains 2nd from bottom with 14 points from 21 matches. Now, coming up after the break, the hidden cost of education in Nepal. Despite strict government caps, parents are being hit with activity fees and development charges. We'll look into the regulatory vacuum, why are local governments staying silent while the hotlines ring off the hook. That story, plus a look at the growing rift between school operators and the families they serve in our issue of the day. You're watching NTV World and this is News Hour. Welcome back. Time now for issue of the day. Despite strict government mandates, private schools across Nepal are reportedly bypassing legal fee ceilings by masking admission charges under creative billing headings, leaving thousands of parents without financial relief. While federal authorities report receiving over 40 grievances daily via new hotlines, a deepening regulatory vacuum remains as local governments hesitate to exercise their constitutional authority to penalize defined institutions. We examine the growing rift between institutional school operators and the families struggling to afford the rising cost of education. Sabika Shrestha with Siva Pongeni reports.
Most of the private schools in Nepal have been charging high fees in contrary to the government standards. After the government introduced a provision that both admission fees and annual fees cannot be charged, parents have complained that private schools are collecting annual fees, monthly fees, and additional charges under various headings. According to the Institutional School Fee Determination Standard 2015, at the time of admission, only a one-time fee equivalent to 1 month's approved monthly fee of the respective class can be charged. Similarly, an amount equal to 2 months' approved monthly fee can be charged as an annual fee. However, parents complain that private schools, instead of charging only the annual fee, are structuring their annual and monthly fees in such a way that admission fees are also effectively collected. They also complain that although the government has claimed to remove arbitrary fees, the practice has not changed in reality and they have not received any relief.
स्थानीय सरकारहरूले हेर्ने भएपछि झन् व्यथिति बढेको छ अर्थात् समयमा शुल्क निर्धारण नगर्ने वा नगरिएको शुल्क निर्धारण नभएको शुल्कबाट बढी शुल्क लिदिनेबाट अभिभावकहरू प्रताडित हुन्छ त्यहाँ उनीहरूले अनुगमन पनि गर्दिदैन.
Some local governments including Nagarjun municipality, Kageshwari Manohara municipality in Kathmandu and Rapti Babai rural municipality in Dang have implemented the government prescribed standards. However, most private schools across the country have defied government standards and increased fees arbitrarily, leading to a surge of complaints at the federal level. According to the Center for Education and Human Resource Development, more than 40 complaints and grievances are received daily regarding excessive fees charged by private schools. The number of complaints has increased after the center introduced toll-free and hotline numbers to collect grievances. The center has stated that since the responsibility to set and monitor school fees lies with local governments, the federal government cannot directly intervene but is coordinating with local levels on this issue.
संस्थागत विद्यालयहरू केही विद्यालयहरूको अस्वाभाविक शुल्क र पटक-पटक शुल्क असुलीको विषय उठेको छ. यसलाई हामी गुनासोको हिसाबले सम्बन्धित पालिकाहरूलाई स्थानीय सरकार सञ्चालन ऐनपछि माध्यमिक तहसम्मको सम्पूर्ण अधिकार स्थानीय सरकारमा भएको हुनाले तत्त पालिकाहरूसँगको समन्वयमा वास्तविक अवस्था के हो सत्य तथ्य बुझ्ने र नियम विपरीत लिएको शुल्क छ भने विद्यार्थीहरूलाई फिर्ता गर्ने सन्दर्भमा हामी त्यो गुनासो व्यवस्थापन पनि गरेका छौं.
Meanwhile, umbrella organizations of private schools have defended themselves, claiming they should be allowed to charge fees according to the facilities they provide.
पैसाको फी लाग्दैन, भर्ना फ्री हुन्छ भन्ने भएर वार्षिक शुल्क नै हाम्रो अभिभावकहरूले चाहिँ त्यो नै भर्ना फी हो भनेर बुझ्दिनु भयो. त्यसले अलि अप्ठ्यारो बनायो. तैपनि हामीले कन्भिन्स गर्यौं किनभने वार्षिक शुल्कमा चाहिँ मर्मत सम्भारको कुराहरू बच्चाहरूलाई चाहिँ अब खेलकुद लगायतका विभिन्न साधन स्रोतहरू जुटाउनु पर्ने हैन टिचर्सलाई ट्रेनिङ दिलाउनु पर्ने यी आदि कुरा नै वार्षिक शुल्कबाट हामी मेन्टेन गर्ने भएको हुनाले त्यसले म्यानेज गर्ने भएको हुनाले अब विद्यालयलाई त्यो अप्ठ्यारो परे पनि अब गार्जियनहरूले चाहिँ त्यो कुरालाई अब उहाँले आफ्नो तर्फबाट चाहिँ त्यो पैसा हाम्रो खर्च भयो हाम्रो गयो हामीलाई यो महँगो भयो भन्ने कुरा छ.
According to the education regulations, the schools must obtain approval from 2/3 of parents and authorization from the local government before increasing fees. However, in practice, school operators are unilaterally increasing fees and issuing bills to parents. Although the Constitution has granted local governments authority over secondary level education, local bodies, despite complaining about lack of authority, have remained silent when it comes to monitoring and regulating schools within their jurisdiction. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Siva Pangeni reporting for NTV World.
And in this context, we asked the public today how the government should address the issue of high fees charged by private school. Let's have a look.
नलिनु भनेको छ है लिइराखेका छन् कि अब एनयुले भन्छन् के भन्छन् अब फी पनि अब छ अब यो कुन कुन टोखा कता कता अब नगरपालिकाले तोक्दिएको छ रे यहाँ पनि महानगरले पनि त्यति भन्दा लिन नपाउने भन्ने तोक्दिए राम्रो हुन्थ्यो होला.
शुल्क त एकदम धेरै छ. सामान्य मानिसले अलिकति राम्रो स्कुलमा बच्चाहरूलाई क्वालिटीको एजुकेसन दिउँ भनेर त्यो चाहिँ पढाउन नसक्ने नि अवस्था छ. विभिन्न शीर्षकहरुमा लिएको छ. अब त्यो लिन नहुने हो. अब त्यो सबैले हामीले त्यसको चाहिँ विरोध गर्नुपर्छ. अभिभावकहरूले नि हामी तिर्दैनौ भनेर उहाँहरूले नि लागि पर्नुपर्छ. यसमा
गहिरो त्यो छानबिन चाहिँ हुनै पर्छ. विद्यार्थीहरूलाई अब सुरुमा सस्तो भन्छन् प्राइजहरू अब तिरेको गर्छन्, झ्याप अब उठाइरहेको हुन्छन्, कति भयो भनेर त्यो एक्ज्याक्टली हिसाब गर्ने गर्दैनन्। त्यो हिसाबहरू गर्नुपर्छ, त्यसको छानबिन हुनुपर्छ।
अब शिक्षा अब गरिबको लागि नै अब सरकारी कलेजमा पढ्छन्, गरिब छ पैसा तिर्न सक्दैन, प्राइभेट स्कुल जस्तो होइन 2-3 लाख तिर्दिन्छन् होइन। त्यसको लागि त सरकारी स्कुल राम्रो भइदियो भने शिक्षाको त्यही त हो।
सक्नेले पढाउने, नसक्ने सरकारले सरकारी स्कुल पनि राख्दिकै छैन त, प्राइभेटमै राख्नुपर्छ भन्ने छैन।
बढी लिने अब कुन अनुसारले चलिरहेको स्कुल हो त्यही अनुसारले अब ठिक्क तरिकाले लिनु पर्यो उनीहरूले पनि।
सरकारले अलि नियम चाहिँ कम गर्नु पर्यो, प्राइभेट स्कुललाई अलि फिस टाइप कम लिनु पर्ने भन्नु पर्यो।
अहिलेको सरकारले प्रत्येक प्राइभेट स्कुलमा एनुअल फीदेखि लिएर वार्षिक फी जुन भर्ना फी एडमिसन फी बढी लिएको छ नि म्याम, त्यसले चाहिँ सरकारले प्रत्येक स्कुलमा गएर अथवा अब अहिले नोटिस नै आउँछ नि त, उहाँहरूले एकदम अनुगमन गर्नुपर्ने नै छ।
That was our issue of the day. And Nepal faces a deadly surge of extreme weather, from high-velocity windstorms to a series of disasters that has claimed 34 lives in just 15 days. We examined the trail of destruction spanning from Baki to the mid-hills, plus fires that have scored 15% of Sudur Pashchim's forests. We look into how the rugged geography of the Chure region is making this battle nearly impossible to win. Full report in our cover story right away. You're watching News Hour here on NTV World. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Welcome back. Time now for our cover story of the day. Nepal is currently facing a relentless assault from the elements as a dangerous cocktail of extreme weather grips the nation. Well, we are already bracing for a high-velocity windstorm set to sweep from Sudur Pashchim to Koshi province by Thursday. New data from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority reveals a staggering surge in fatalities. In just the last 15 days, over 600 disaster incidents have claimed 34 lives, leaving a trail of destruction from forest fires of Baki to lightning strikes across the mid-hills. Suveksha Rajak and Pawan Barsa Shah look at the numbers, the most affected zones, and the urgent precautionary measures.
The latest data from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Authority (NDRRMA) paints a grim picture of a country under environmental duress, recording 616 separate disaster incidents between April 14 and April 29. Fire remains the most prolific threat, with 267 incidents reported, resulting in 8 deaths and nearly 100 million rupees in property loss. However, lightning has proven even more lethal this fortnight, claiming 9 lives and injuring 49 others, primarily in the hilly regions. Adding to the crisis, 44 significant windstorms have already impacted over 300 families, serving as a terrifying prelude to the extreme velocity system currently moving inward from the western border. Geographically, the Tarai belt, specifically Baki and Kanchanpur, is reeling as the epicenter of this crisis. In Baki alone, massive wildfires have consumed over 400,000 hectares of forest, displacing wildlife and threatening human settlements. As the new western atmospheric disturbance gains momentum, the high-risk zone is shifting towards the east, with the Kosi province and districts like Chhapa placed on high alert for Thursday morning. Experts emphasize that the combination of rising temperatures and shifting pressure scales has made this pre-monsoon season far more volatile than previous years, with rainfall and wind speeds frequently exceeding historical averages. In response to this escalating emergency, the NDRRMA and local authorities have moved from monitoring to active mitigation, implementing a 5-point safety protocol for the general public. Citizens are being urged to stay indoors those in permanent structures during the afternoon hours when wind and lightning are at their peak. And a strict ban has been placed on burning agricultural waste to prevent further infernos. Authorities have also mobilized local disaster units to reinforce tin roofs in vulnerable settlements and have established emergency toll-free lines for immediate fire reporting. As the economic toll surpasses 109 million rupees in just 2 weeks, experts warn that without a serious shift in government disaster funding, the nation remains dangerously exposed to the intensifying whims of changing climate.
77 जिल्ला प्रशासन कार्यालयहरूलाई पनि पठाइसकेका छौं जुन चाहिँ बढी प्रभावित हुने प्रदेशका जिल्लाहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँलाई चाहिँ अलि बढी फोकस गरेर पठाएका छौं भने त्यसैगरी सबै एउटा स्थानीय पालिकाहरू अब जहाँ जहाँ हुन्छ उहाँहरूले अलि बढी हेर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ हैन पठाउन चाहिँ हामीले सबैलाई यो यस्तो यस्तो विषय छ यो अवस्था छ त यहाँहरू चाहिँ तयारी अवस्थामा रहनु भन्ने किसिमले समन्वय भइसकेको छ
सम्भवतः अहिले बाहिर ट्राभल गर्दै नगर्ने पहिलो पार्ट हुन सक्ला दोस्रो पार्ट कतै छौं भने नि घरभित्रै आउने कुरा भयो होला कुनै पनि किसिमको दुधालु रुख लगायतका कुराहरू हैन अब पोलहरू भएको अब कतै न कतै सेफ बन्ने मानेमा पनि कहिलेकाहीँ हामी रुखमा ओत लाग्ने गर्छौं त्यो पनि नगरौं पोलमा ओत लाग्ने कुराहरू पनि गर्न सकौंला त्यस्ता कुराहरू पनि गर्नु पर्यो अनि घरै भित्र बस्दा पनि झ्यालढोका लगाएर बस्ने
यो अब हावाहुरी मात्र लाग्ने होइन हैन वर्षाको पनि सम्भावना हुन्छ मध्यमसम्मको वर्षा जस्तो अब थन्डरस्टर्म हुन्छ हैन वर्षाको पनि सम्भावना सँगसँगै असिना पर्ने पनि सम्भावना देखिया छ हैन मेघगर्जन चट्याङ अब जस्तो प्री मनसुनको जस्तो खालको वर्षा हुन्छ वर्षा सँगसँगै सबै आउने हावाहुरी चाहिँ अलिकति बढी देखिएको
Adding to Nepal's growing disaster-related concern, around 15% of forest areas in Sudur Pachim province have been affected by forest fires. According to Provincial Forest Directorate, the impact is especially severe in Chure region, including Suklafata National Park and community forests, as the dry season intensifies. Officials say the fires are directly affecting forest conservation, biodiversity, and the livelihoods of local communities. Director of the Provincial Forest Directorate, Hemraj Bist, says forest fires are more frequent in Chure forests compared to the plains. Bist adds that while community forest groups and forest staff can control fires more easily in the lowlands, geographical challenges make forest fire control in the Chure region significantly difficult. That wraps up our cover story of the day. On to other news, the government's decision to move ahead with multiple ordinances has sparked a fresh political confrontation between ruling and opposition parties in Nepal. Opposition parties have strongly objected, accusing the government of bypassing parliament, while the ruling side defends the move as necessary for quick reforms and public service delivery. Nepali Congress leader Bhishmaraj Angdembe said the government should not proceed with ordinances and must immediately call parliament sessions.
संसदको अधिवेशन आह्वान गरे लगत्तै स्थगन गरी यसरी अध्यादेश ल्याउनु घोर असंसदीय र अलोकतान्त्रिक कदम भएकोले हामी घोर विरोध भर्त्सना र निन्दा गर्दछौं। 2 उपरोक्त अध्यादेशहरू अविलम्ब फिर्ता गर्न नेपाल सरकारसँग जोडदार माग गर्दछौं। 3 सम्माननीय राष्ट्रपति समक्ष सिफारिस भई गएका अध्यादेशहरू संसद छल्ने उद्देश्यका साथ सिफारिस भई आएका हुनाले स्वीकृत नगर्न सम्माननीय राष्ट्रपति समक्ष हार्दिक अनुरोध गर्दछौं। 4 स्थगन गरिएको संघीय संसदको अधिवेशन अविलम्ब आह्वान गर्न जोडदार माग गर्दछौं।
Rashtriya Swatantra Party's General Secretary Kavindra Burlakoti has said the government has chosen the ordinance route to speed up work, as regular procedures take more time. He said the ordinances are aimed at necessary reforms and faster public service delivery, not political misuse.
अध्यादेशबाट चाहिँ कसैलाई चाहिँ कुनै एउटा व्यक्तिलाई या कुनै एउटा समूहलाई कुनै एउटा पार्टीलाई लाभ पुग्ने भन्दा पनि चाहिँ यो झन्झटिलो प्रक्रियाहरूबाट चाहिँ अगाडि बढ्ने सन्दर्भमा सरकारले अलिकति छरितो गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरूलाई सम्बोधन गर्ने गरी गरेको हो भन्ने कुरा छ। अहिले अर्को सँगसँगै अब अहिलेको चाहिँ सरकारले बजेट निर्माणको चरणमा छिरिराखेको कारणले गर्दाखेरि ती चीजहरुमा पनि छलफल भएको छ।
Now, the District Administration Office of Kathmandu has announced that all settlements built through encroachment within the district will be cleared starting this Friday. Issuing a public notice today, the office stated that settlements that have been illegally established for years on government, public, unused or privately owned land will be vacated beginning 7 a.m. on 1st of May. The administration has also urged residents to leave the areas voluntarily before the given deadline. Nepal and China have signed an agreement for a grant worth approximately $81 million to support the second phase of Kathmandu Ring Road expansion project. The agreement was signed at the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport and Urban Development in Kathmandu by Minister Sunil Lamsal and Chinese Ambassador Zhang Maoming. Under the second phase, the ring road will be extended from Kalanki to Basundhara. The first phase of the project had already expanded the road from Koteshwar to Kalanki. Minister Lamsal said the government would ensure smooth implementation of the project and quickly resolve any obstacles. He added that improving north-south transport links remains a national priority and expressed confidence that China will further increase its investment in Nepal's infrastructure sector. Ambassador Zhang said Chinese investors are increasingly interested in Nepal, but stressed that a stable and investment-friendly environment is necessary to attract greater participation. The project is aimed at reducing congestion in Kathmandu Valley and strengthening urban transport infrastructure. Now, Nepal's Department of Transport Management has increased public transportation fares effective from today, covering inter-provincial travel across the country. According to an official notice, fares for inter-provincial passenger vehicles, hill route freight transport and Tarai freight vehicles have all been raised by 5%. This is the second fare hike in recent months. The Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport had approved the adjustment on 12th of April, which the department says has now been implemented. Officials noted that increase in diesel and petrol prices contributed to the decision. However, the department has clarified electric vehicles are not allowed to increase fares. It has also warned that any electric transport operators found raising prices will face legal action. A 15-day campaign of nutrition estimation has kicked off across Nepal from today. The Ministry of Health and Population launched the campaign under the slogan Timely Detection and Treatment, a base of malnutrition-free generation. It is enforced among the children from 6 months to 59 months. Status of malnutrition would be ascertained with the supervision in order to ensure timely treatment. The children suffering from malnutrition would be categorized into 3 levels: high, moderate and low risk, which would be helpful to set future programs on health and nutrition of children. Ministry spokesperson Dr. Prakash Budathoki said the drive is expected to give a real picture at local, district and provincial levels. Their campaign will be realized through Health and Immunization Center, community clinics, ward offices, community building and Early Child Development Center. It is said that Nepal is suffering from 3 aspects of malnutrition: undernutrition, obesity and micronutrient deficiencies, and thereby exposing health and food security concerns. A key ritual of the Rato Machindranath Chariot Festival was held today in Thati Tol, Lagankil in Dalitpur district, where coconuts were thrown from the top of the chariot as part of the tradition. The ritual is performed a few days after the chariot reaches Lagankil, when the eldest member of the chariot climbs to the top and throws coconuts to celebrate its arrival. Locals consider it a festive occasion with a traditional belief that catching a coconut thrown from the chariot brings the blessing of a firstborn son. Following the ritual, women traditionally pull the chariot the next morning. In the coming days, astrologers will determine an auspicious time to take the chariot to Jaulakhel, where the festival continues with the Bhoto Jatra marking the conclusion of the celebration. Now, a critical shortage of medicines at Galyang Municipal Hospital in Syangja, Nepal has forced patients to suffer despite government promises of free treatment under the health insurance scheme. The ongoing crisis has raised serious concerns about access to reliable basic health care, especially among chronic patients who require regular medication. Rojina Rai with our local correspondent Himal Nepali brings a report.
A severe shortages of medicines at Galang Municipal Hospital operated by Galang Municipality in Sangja district has put patients' lives at risk. Despite the government's claims of providing free medicines through the health insurance program, patients are left with no option but to seek treatment traveling to other districts. Patients suffering from chronic illness who requires regular medications are among the most affected. Likewise, delays in timely treatment and medication have placed emergency patients at risk, with some facing life-threatening situation while being transferred elsewhere for health care. Patients have repeatedly raised concerns during public hearings, stating that they often do not receive the prescribed medicines after treatment, further endangering their lives. Due to the ongoing shortages, even basic medical care frequently requires traveling up to 57 kilometers outside the district.
मैले त्यो औषधि माग गरिरहँदा आजसम्म किन त्यो खालको औषधि पब्लिकको औषधि माग पुरा किन गर्न सकिरहेको छैन.
Addressing the issue, the hospital administration stated that efforts are underway to resolve the shortage of medicines in the district.
सरकार तोकेको निशुल्क औषधि निशुल्क दिनुपर्ने हुन्छ, त्यो चाहिँ नगरपालिकाबाट सप्लाई हुन्छ हैन, भनेपछि त्यहाँबाट उपलब्ध हुन्छ. भने हाम्रो आन्तरिक अस्पतालबाट व्यवस्थापन गर्ने औषधि खरिदको लागि चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ नियम अनुसार अब राख्नु पाउने 5 महिनाको चाहिँ अर्डर राख्नु पाइन्छ. त्यसको लागि हाम्रो कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ फार्मेसीबाट चाहिँ अर्डर ढिलो हुन्छ, कहिलेकाहीँ खरिदमा माथि आउँदाखेरि ढिलो हुन्छ.
However, the local government continues to claim that healthcare services have reached people's doorsteps. The lack of essential medicines undermines this claim. The government mandates that health posts provide up to 98 types of essential medicines free of charge, but persistent supply disruption continue to occur. Nepal relies on imports of over 50% of its pharmaceutical needs, primarily from India, which has also contributed to ongoing challenges in strengthening the healthcare system, especially in the districts far from the capital. Rojina Rai with Himal Nepali from Sangja reporting for NTV World.
International news coming up next. For now, a quick recap of the top stories this hour. Local wind system spreads across Nepal, damages crops in Nyagdi among others. Disaster authority urges caution. Government begins bi-monthly salary payment system for employees. Finance Minister says 15-day pay will boost economic activity. Nepal's opposition parties urge President to block government ordinances. Leaders accuse government of bypassing parliament. Private schools accused of charging excessive fees despite government rules. Parents allege schools taking fees under various pretexts. 2 men stabbed in London as police declared terror attack. Suspect arrested after attempting to attack officers. And Nepal suffers 102-run defeat to Oman in ICC Cricket World Cup League 2. Rain-interrupted chase ends under DLS method. The Israel Defense Forces has said it killed 3 Hezbollah fighters during operations in southern Lebanon, targeting what it described as imminent threats. The military reported additional airstrikes on Hezbollah infrastructure, including sites north of the Yellow Line, as part of a broader campaign to dismantle the group's capabilities. 1 Israeli soldier was also lightly wounded during the shooting and evacuated for treatment. Hezbollah leader Naim Qassem rejected any direct negotiations with Israel, reaffirming continued resistance. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warned Hezbollah's actions are undermining the ceasefire and said Israel would continue to respond forcefully. A Seoul High Court has increased the prison sentence of former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol to 7 years on appeal for obstruction of arrest. The court overturned a lower ruling that had sentenced him to 5 years, citing abuse of power and interference with official duties. Judges found that Yoon used presidential security forces to block lawful arrest attempts and hinder anti-corruption investigators. His legal team said it will appeal the decision to Supreme Court. Yoon, who was previously impeached and removed from office, also faces a separate life sentence linked to insurrection charges. The European Union has found Meta is failing to stop children under 13 from accessing Facebook and Instagram, exposing them to harmful content. EU Tech Chief Henna Virkkunen said preliminary findings show Meta has weak measures to enforce its own age restrictions. The investigation conducted under the Digital Services Act revealed children can easily bypass safeguards by entering false birth dates. Regulators warned Meta could face fines of up to 6% of its global annual revenue if the violations are confirmed. Meta has disputed the findings, stating it has systems in place to detect and remove underage users while continuing discussions with the EU.
Today, the Commission has preliminarily found Instagram and Facebook in breach of DSA for failing to prevent minors under the age of 13 from accessing their services. As we know, Meta's own terms and rules indicate that Instagram and Facebook, they are not meant for minors who are under 13 years old. Yet our preliminary findings show that Meta is doing very little to prevent children below this age from accessing these platforms.
International organizations, including Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, the World Food Programme and UNICEF have warned 7.8 million people in South Sudan will face acute food insecurity between April and July this year. The report, based on the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification System, says this represents about 56% of the country's population and is among the worst levels globally. It estimates that over 73,000 people are already in the most severe catastrophe phase of hunger, a sharp rise from previous assessments. Millions more are classified in emergency and crisis levels of food insecurity, reflecting widespread humanitarian strain. The crisis is being driven by conflict, displacement, flooding, economic decline, and poor agricultural output. Business news coming up next. For now, a short breather.
Gold remained a traditional safe haven asset during market volatility, but global investment volumes fell by 5% in the first quarter, according to the World Gold Council. The decline came as the Middle East conflict pushed investors to sell holdings to raise cash despite record high prices early in the year. Gold had surged amid a weaker dollar and policy uncertainty linked to Donald Trump, but heavy outflows in March reversed earlier gains in exchange-traded funds. Analysts said rising oil prices and disruptions, including tensions around the Strait of Hormuz, forced investors to liquidate assets. While demand volume dropped, the total value of gold purchases rose sharply due to elevated prices. Venezuela has signed new agreements with Italian energy company Eni to boost oil and natural gas production as the country seeks to revive its struggling energy sector. The deal was announced after interim President Delcy Rodriguez met NE CEO Claudio Descalzi at the Miraflores Palace in Caracas. The agreements focus on expanding production at key projects, including offshore gas fields and heavy oil areas in the Orinoco Belt, according to company updates and officials. Venezuela, which holds some of the world's largest proven oil reserves, has faced years of sanctions, underinvestment and production decline. The government says the partnership with European firms like Eni is essential to restore. Venezuela government says the partnership with European firms like Eni is essential to restoring output and stabilizing the country's economy. An experimental AI-run cafe has opened in Stockholm, where a chatbot named Mona manages daily operations, according to startup Anden Labs. The AI system is responsible for hiring staff, designing the menu, and handling supplies, though it has reportedly made some unnecessary purchases along the way. Despite the automated management, human baristas still serve customers and prepare drinks inside the cafe. Visitors said the project offers a glimpse into how AI could take on managerial roles in real workplaces. The experiment is intended to explore the social and ethical implications of AI-driven businesses in the future.
Time now for a sports update. FIFA has increased total World Cup cash distributions to nearly $900 million, citing rising costs for participating teams ahead of the tournament. The governing body also announced new rules for the World Cup starting June 11 in Mexico City, including red cards for players who cover their mouths during confrontations as part of an anti-racism initiative.
The revenues are above expectations, and this allows us to do two things. One is, of course, to increase our investments in football development, and the other one is the decision that we took today, which is increasing the preparation money, the contributions for the member associations, and we did it for over 100 million, 112 million more, which will be at the disposal of our member associations to help them prepare for the tournament, participate in the tournament in the best possible conditions. So we are now at almost 900 million all in all for the participating 48 countries.
Now the weather updates, first from across Nepal and then the world. Before wrapping up, the headlines once again. Local wind system spreads across Nepal, damages crops in Nagdi among others. Disaster authority urges caution. Government begins bi-monthly salary payment system for employees. Finance Minister says 15-day pay will boost economic activity. Nepal's opposition parties urge President to block government ordinances. Leaders accuse government of bypassing parliament. Private schools accused of charging excessive fees despite government rules. Parents allege schools taking fees under various pretexts. 2 men stabbed in London as police declared terror attack. Suspect arrested after attempting to attack officers. And Nepal suffers 102-run defeat to Oman in ICC Cricket World Cup League 2. Rain-interrupted chase ends under DLS method. That's it from News Hour for tonight. Do join us through our social media and also visit our official website, nepaltelevision.com. I'm Sarah Sapsanamarai. Thanks for staying with us. Good night.